3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show, right here on the Infinity Sports Network across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in, 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter X, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Michigan defensive back projected top 10 pick, one of the highest rated players in the new college football video game, tied for the highest ranked players with two other guys. Will Johnson's going to stop by for a little college football fix at the top of the hour. Bart Winkler on Winkler Wednesdays at 4:40 p.m. Eastern, 1:40 p.m. Pacific. And Ian Williams is going to join us to preview the 49ers. Ian's actually be joining us live from London today. The former 49ers defensive lineman. He's going to stop by at 5:20 p.m. Eastern, 2:20 p.m. Pacific, which I think is like 10 p.m. His time or so, like 10:20, I believe, across the pond. So looking forward to our conversation with him. I'll get to the Cowboys in just a second. What a stereotypical way to start a national radio program. But we do have to get into them with the news on CeeDee Lamb that he is holding out. He's not going to be present for the start of Cowboys training camp in Oxnard. But, Stu, your eyes kind of lit up when I mentioned that we're going to have Will Johnson on an hour from now, the MVP, defensive MVP of the national championship game a year ago, because I have heard through sources that Stuart Kovacs is a huge, and I mean huge, video game player, and you are a dominant video game player. I was saying earlier, maybe for content, because I saw Hickey, my old producer, Hot Take Hickey, he got the video game the other night, and I think he actually just bought a PS5 because you need a PS5 for this.
Yeah.
And I was told Hickey started to play the college football video game, and I said, oh, wouldn't this be like a fun idea because everyone's talking about it? You know, maybe we do a little content behind the scenes and then we release a video, do a little tournament here at Infinity Sports Network. Now, the last time I said Infinity Sports Network should participate in some tournament, it ended up in a charity kickball tournament for Deion Dawkins, where in the first inning, Elijah Stewart was stealing third base or trying to get to third base, and he tore his patellar tendon and fractured his kneecap. So I don't know if I should try to be a little ambitious here and start another tournament, but one person here in particular told me that if we did said tournament, and this is not an active tournament, so I'd hope everyone be okay. Maybe someone would get arthritis in their thumb. Who knows around here? Because if there's a way to get injured, someone would get injured. But, well, Birdie told me that you would annihilate all of us in the college football video game.
I mean, I don't want to say that I would definitely... I don't know. I don't know, who... I've never played, I've played
But
Gallo.
you're good at video games.
Yeah.
You come off as someone that's very good at video games.
Yeah. I'm... I've played a lot of this new college football video game, and it's fun.
So give me kind of the view on the video game, the review on the video game so far. Because all I've heard about it is, it's unbelievable. Oh, it's sensational. And I'm jealous. I got a little FOMO going on because I thought, I had a PS4. I thought that was going to be good to be able to play with the video game, but it's not compatible for... You have to have a PS5 or... Of
course.
What's the latest Xbox now? Last Xbox I had was a 360.
I think it's Xbox One S or something like that. Yeah. It's a weird name.
So you either got to have the latest Xbox or you got to have a PS5.
That's how they get you. They want you to buy the new system.
I feel like everyone got invited to the party but me. Because everyone's playing this video game and going nuts about this video game. And that was a video game that I was so mad that it went away. And then during the pandemic... I think I fired up my old Xbox 360 because I used, I think when Reggie Bush was on the cover, so whenever that was, mid-2000s.
7, I believe.
Yeah, so I remember you making the coach mode and you doing all that, and that was fun with the whole Barstool crave off of that from Coach Doug's with Big Cat, and then everyone was following that. But here we are again now in the year of 2024 when the video game is actually back and actually new and updated and current, and everyone's talking about it, and I'm just sitting here all by myself, just alone, and not being able to participate into the party. So the video game is that worth it?
It's that good, and it has lived up to the hype. Obviously, it's been 11 years in the making. It was my favorite sports video game series before it went away, so I was very excited for it, and it's great. The gameplay is fun. Obviously, it's updated with the college football playoff, the transfer portal, recruiting, all of that. So it's if you get a system, it's well worth your time, I think.
Okay.
And money.
I know that I'm not going to be able to help myself.
Yeah.
Especially,
tough.
I'm one of those guys when it's a big event and everyone's there, and for some reason I can't go to the event, I'm sitting there being like, how the heck did I not go to this event? And I have a way to go to this event. it's called digging into my pocket.
Yeah.
And coming up with what, $400 or $500
Basically, yeah.
for the game and then the console, and then just put it in my new apartment.
Yeah.
So that's
I think you would enjoy it a lot. It's especially for someone who loves college football, and you can build up a team. You can build up Temple. You can build up a really bad program.
Temple needs help getting built back
they
up.
could use Zach Gelb as the head coach. I think.
When I was there, that was the golden rule of Temple football. And now, and it's not Stan Drayden's fault, the new head football coach, it was that not nice guy. I was about to say some words that I couldn't say, and Rod Carey that just ruined the program. But the American Athletic Conference preseason meet, like the Big Ten preseason media poll comes out, right? Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, Penn State 3, Michigan 4. However, the AAC preseason poll came out. Temple was ranked last. And it wasn't that long ago when I was a student where they had College Game Day. They beat Penn State for the first time in 74 years. They beat an SEC school. All right, some big victories when I was there. And now it's like, geez, Kurt Warner's son left us. And I don't even know who they have at quarterback for this upcoming season, but it's supposed to be not a good year for the Temple Owls. So it's a shame. But anyway, let's start the show with what we were going to. Before I saw Stu and I just thought video games. And we have Will Johnson coming on, who wasn't on the cover of the video game, but is ranked at 96, which is the highest ranking that they gave out. And I think two other players, an offensive lineman, and then Ollie Gordon, the Oklahoma State running back, was also ranked at 96 as well. So I want to start with the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a mess right now. It's kind of crazy because the Cowboys should be going for it. The Cowboys should be all in right now. And I think a lot of us realize the Cowboys have limitations. Heck, it's tough to actually believe a team will go to an NFC championship game or a Super Bowl when they haven't done that, both of them, since the 1995 season. But you take a glance right now at the Cowboys, a team that the last 3 years, they've been good. At times, they look like they could be a contender, but they ultimately ended up being a fraudulent pretender because this team was all sizzle. They got a lot of wins in the regular season, and then come postseason time, it's not only did they bow out of the postseason, they've had some cruel, and I mean cruel losses, like an embarrassing losses to the San Francisco 49ers when they couldn't even snap the ball. And then a few years later, they played the 49ers again, where their defense was awesome, but their offense couldn't do anything, and Tony Pollard got hurt. And then last year, that was a team, you're going up against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers, who were just happy to be in the postseason. And they walked into Jerry's World, and they opened up a can of whoop-ass on the Drama Dallas choking Cowboys. So the Cowboys are now in a spot where I'm not saying you should be optimistic, obviously. I just said they're a mess. But they should try to move this thing forward. And I can't sit here and believe that the Cowboys, who have had 3 straight 12-win seasons, are going to be able to move this thing forward this year. I think they're going to regress. And I think this thing is going to come crashing and burning down this year with the Dallas Cowboys. I don't believe the Cowboys are making the playoffs this year. There's too much drama here with this team. Micah Parsons doesn't have a new contract. Dak Prescott doesn't have a new contract. CeeDee Lamb right now is holding out. The team flew yesterday from Dallas to Oxnard, where they have their training camp, and he's not there because he wants a new contract. Also, you have Mike McCarthy, quack, quack, lame duck coach, final year on his contract. And you had an owner in Jerry Jones who was like, we're all in this year. The Cowboys are all in. And what was his big offseason signing? Who says you can't go home? A little reunion with Ezekiel Elliott? This Cowboys team didn't get better. This Cowboys team, with the last 3 years, won 12 games and then had deficiencies in the postseason. They've regressed. And also, how could we forget about Malik Hooker basically saying Michael Parsons doesn't deserve to get paid yet? And they got to pay Dak and CeeDee Lamb and Zach Martin before Micah Parsons, and Hooker basically saying, Malik Hooker, that, Micah's too worried about his podcast. Too many distractions. I'm telling you, this Cowboys team, I have zero expectations for them this year. I have zero confidence in this football team. And now as you get set to have this season start, in a little over a month. And it's the same thing with the quarterbacks as we'll look at the wide receivers. All these other receivers are getting paid. I know some have it, but we've seen a lot of money thrown at wide receivers. And CeeDee Lamb's sitting there saying, we know I fit what Jerry Jones wants to do. I'm a flashy, big-name player that's a top 10 wide receiver in this league. That should be an easy deal to figure out. Dak Prescott, I thought they were going to get a deal done before free agency to lower that cap hit. They've only ended up lowering it by $5 million. I know there was some talk last week that, they're optimistic a deal's going to get done. I'd be shocked if a deal gets done before the start of the season. I really would be. And Dak should start thinking about maybe going somewhere else, and he could get to free agency because he has a no-tag clause. But you look around right now in the NFL with how many quarterbacks and how many wide receivers are getting paid, and Dak doesn't have a long-term deal. CeeDee Lamb doesn't have a long-term deal. And it's one thing, right, to have a distraction, and a team's natural talent is able to avoid that distraction and take this team to a higher level and find a way to persevere through those distractions. But your team also has to get better. And this team hasn't got better. They lost their defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, who is now the head coach of the Commanders. This is a team that you look around, their owner said they were going to be aggressive this offseason, and what did they do? They did nothing. And that's not me being, having hyperbole on that. They literally did nothing this offseason. There's not a move that the Cowboys made where you go, wow, man, the Cowboys got better here. The Cowboys got better there. That didn't happen. So I'm looking around, even in an NFC that isn't really strong, and I'm worried. And I don't think the Cowboys are making the playoffs. And if you go, oh, Zach, that's a hot take. Oh, Zach, that's crazy. I'll explain you the road right now. I think the Eagles are winning the division. The Eagles' defense is a question mark. Don't get me wrong. But they got better by bringing in Saquon Barkley. So Eagles win the NFC East, and no one ever repeats as NFC East champs since the early 2000s. So history's on the side for the Cowboys, on the wrong side for the Cowboys in terms of repeating this year. So that puts the Eagles as NFC East champs. NFC North, right now I like the Lions. NFC South, I like the Falcons. And the NFC West, I like the 49ers. So those are the four teams right now, division-wise, that get in. And then you have 3 wild card spots. Green Bay's better. They just beat the snot out of the Cowboys in the playoffs. The Rams, I think they're better with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. I trust Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay also with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua more than the Dallas Cowboys right now with Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. So then you got one spot left. Seattle, they were 9-8. I know there's a lot of changes. They could be a player. I'm a believer in the Chicago Bears this year, and I think the Bears will make the playoffs in year 1 with Caleb Williams, so that would be my final team. But that's where the Cowboys are. Even the last 3 years, the Cowboys have been 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins. They're going to regress this year. I don't think we're sitting here at the end of the year saying the Cowboys won 12 wins again. And if they do, quite frankly, unless they're hiring Bill Belichick, I don't even care if they don't win a playoff game. Mike McCarthy wins 12 wins 4 straight years. It's going to be tough to justify not bringing him back. But I'd be stunned if they win 12 games this year. And I don't think they're going to be putrid, but I think they're going to be 9-8. And they're going to be in a tiebreaker scenario, or they're going to have to fight for their own life to get that final wild card spot. Because the 4 division winners are the 4 division winners I gave you. And if the Cowboys don't win the division, they're not a lock to make the playoffs. The Rams are better, the Packers are better, and then they're fighting for that final spot. And I'll trust the optimism with the Bears and the moves the Bears made this offseason. Going out, getting a Dunze, obviously getting Caleb Williams, where I think that's going to flip that record from maybe 7-10 to 10-7 or be 9-8. So I don't think it's far-fetched to lay out the case that the Cowboys are going to miss the playoffs. And there's always a team, if not a few teams, that make the playoffs a year before and then miss it the following season. There is just too much drama with the Dallas Cowboys. There's too many distractions, and you're messing with people's money right now. And when you mess with a lot of people's money, especially, if it's just a wide receiver, just a wide receiver. Just Micah Parsons. But when you have the two most important positions in the NFL, head coach and quarterback, both on the final year of their deals, I think it makes a very tricky situation for the Cowboys. And I don't believe the Cowboys make the playoffs this year. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Where's your confidence level in the Dallas Cowboys this season? 855-212-4227. I have a poll question up at Zach Gelb or at INF Sportsnet. And it's a very simple poll question. Will the Dallas Cowboys make the playoffs this year? You have CeeDee Lamb holding out right now. Now, since he's still on his rookie deal, he's getting fined $40,000 a day. So if he wasn't on his rookie deal, that would be something that you could not rescind. Since it's his rookie deal, they can rescind it when they finally do get that long-term extension. I saw Schefter put that out. But getting back to the poll question, will the Dallas Cowboys make the playoffs this year? Yes, NFC East champs. Yes, as a wild card team, or no. Early returns, super early returns. 15.1% say yes as NFC East champs. 39.6% say yes as a wild card team. And then the early majority, 45.3% say no. The Cowboys, when asked, will they make the playoffs this year? The answer is no at 45.3%. What say you? Hit me up on social media at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB, or via my phone lines at 855-212-4227. We come on back. Two coaches, two players with the biggest questions entering this college football season that need to be answered. We'll give you our selections when we return in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
So I have two non-sports stories today. I'll get to one, and they both have to do with me. It's not like anything going on in the world. But I had a big no-no today, Stu, and I felt terrible about it. So I usually hate being on my phone when I'm working out. So I had a meeting here today at 12:15 p.m. Eastern time, so I had to get up earlier in order to get into the meeting on time here in our offices, and I had to change my morning routine. So I was in the gym this morning at like 8:15 a.m., and my mom gave me a buzz. So I'm talking to my mom on the phone, and for some reason, she couldn't hear me in the gym. So she's like, "Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you." And where she moved to now, they're like a 55 up community. The cell phone service in the new house has been terrible. So like, I wanted to be like, "Mom," I'm being patient with my mother, of course. And I'm a mama's boy. I'm like, "Ma, it's you. Stop saying it's my fault. It's you. I know the cell phone's not working." So I wasn't like a great mood there. And then I'm going to the shore tomorrow. And for some reason, when I go to like hang out with my friends, if they want to bail on a plan or something, it's like just such a drama game. So one of my friends has a later tee time for golf, but he already blew us off for dinner. So now he's trying to get everyone to go to this later tee time. I could obviously make the tee time, but some of my friends can't. And it's like this whole thing behind the scenes. So long story short, my buddy ended up inviting two more people, like a last second, like kind of, "Hey, if you want to come down to the shore this weekend, you're more than welcome." Both of those people couldn't go to the shore, but they were like, "Hey, why don't we do August 17th, like August 16th that weekend?" Now, that's the weekend after my 30th birthday, but because I am being the officiant in one of my best friend's wedding, the next weekend's when I'm celebrating my 30th birthday. Now, the two people I both invited on this text that are now trying to push the weekend of the 16th to my 30th birthday. One said they are coming. The other hasn't responded yet. So I went to then go text one of my other friends on the side that started this whole thing. He has the same initials as the other person that hasn't responded. And I texted the friend that hasn't responded, meaning to text the other friend, Stu, if you're following. And I wrote, "Classic Jason."
No.
Classic not responding to my 30th birthday dinner invite and then trying to make plans for that weekend. Now, I realized right away, half a second. So I did the unsend feature
on the iPhone,
which I don't trust.
I know.
So 30 minutes went by, nothing happened. And then my friend responded, "Oh, sorry, I can't make it." I'm like, "Ugh, he saw it." Now, a few weeks ago, a guest texted me something afterwards, and I guess they texted me in the middle of the night. So I woke up and I saw I had a message that was unsent on my phone. And I didn't see what the message was about until I went on my computer where I could text on my computer, and it was still there on the computer, so I saw the message. It wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah. So it doesn't work, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Don't trust it.
So my friend responded, "Sorry, brother, can't make the birthday," which I don't really care about. It was just a typical, not to respond and then try to make other plans, and you knew that there was something going on. So I was like, how do I play this off? And I just wrote, "I lied." Okay?
Oh, boy.
I wrote, "Haha, I was just playing," and then realized it came off the wrong way. It's why I unsent it. Working out right now, and typed real quick. And then my buddy wrote, yeah. Like he knew I was lying.
Didn't buy it, yeah.
So I wasn't in the wrong. I invited this person. They didn't respond. And now I look like the jerk because I sent something to someone else, a meeting to go to someone else, but it went to that person. So
it's a bad spot to be in.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's the worst, yeah.
I haven't done that in a long time.
I did it once in college with a group project where basically I was saying X person, meaning to send it to someone else in the group saying X person doesn't do anything, whatever, where we're carrying them. And of course I sent it to the person who I was talking about. Not great.
It's a bad feeling because sometimes you can send the wrong text, but you could work your way around.
Yeah.
This one,
yeah,
I'm talking about
it's
this
like
kid
mine.
by
There's
name.
no way I could work my way around it.
And I tried,
like,
and I just hoped that he didn't see it, and then 30 minutes later, boom, you get the dagger text that he did end up seeing this. Anyway, I'll get to the other story later. I want to bring the other story up to Marco Belletti just because we brought it up to him yesterday. We do have a fan update when it comes to my father,
yes,
Bob Gelb, about his desk fan that went missing. And through some investigative reporting, we found who the culprit was that stole it. So we will get to that story coming up later with Marco Belletti. But, Stu, as we enter this college football season, two coaches, two players with the biggest questions that you have for them individually. Let's start with the coaches, then we'll go with the players. Okay. Coach-wise, I'll go, then you'll go, then I'll go, then you'll go. Coach-wise, I'm starting off with Ryan Day. For Ryan Day, I don't care that he's lost fewer than 10 games at Ohio State. This is a head football coach. He knows what the standard is at Ohio State. It is to beat Michigan, and then you got to go be a national champion. He's been to a national championship game before, but the last 3 years, they have just been bullied by Michigan in the trenches. Now Michigan doesn't have Blake Corum. Now Michigan doesn't have Jim Harbaugh. Now Michigan doesn't have J.J. McCarthy and many others that won a championship. Now, they have a lot of really great players still, like Will Johnson's going to join us later, but there's a big question mark on the offensive side of the ball for Michigan. So for Ryan Day, your fan base, which already some have turned, it's really going to turn because the easy out is, oh, well, he hasn't lost more than 10 games as the coach of Ohio State. How can you say you get fired? But if you lose to Michigan 4 years in a row now, I don't get how you could justify keeping Ryan Day, especially when Michigan, right, doesn't have Harbaugh. And same thing like with Harbaugh. You look at it, when Urban Meyer left, he needed to eventually beat Ryan Day. And he eventually did, multiple times. But this has now been so one-sided, and Ohio State is projected to be either the best or second best team in the country. I got to see if Ryan Day can not only get the job done against Michigan this year, but then take it to the next step where he's already been to a national championship game before, but this time finish the job. So I start off with Ryan Day. You, Stu?
For me, I will go with Brian Kelly. I think, I know he lost a lot of talent. You lose Jaden Daniels, you lose Malik Neighbors. That's tough. But year 3 for him is typically where he has a lot of success. Central Michigan, 9-4. Cincinnati undefeated, go to a Sugar Bowl. Notre Dame undefeated, go to the championship game. You have question marks, but their schedule is on the easier side. For an SEC schedule, at least. Bama's in transition, obviously, with DeBoer in his first year. So I think it's a big year for Kelly.
All righty, my next coach, it's actually going to be Billy Napier at Florida. Because I look at Billy Napier, right, was the young, up-and-coming coach, big-name coach after what he did at Louisiana. And at Florida, year one, I said this the day it happened. The worst thing, and this is like a loser mentality, I'll admit that. But the worst thing to happen to Billy Napier was when he played Utah to open up the 2022 season with Anthony Richardson with a team that you knew was not going to be great. Winning that game just set the expectations way out of order and expedited like this feeling that, okay, Florida has the right guy immediately when the team wasn't that good in reality. It almost would have been better, and I know it's a loser way to think about it. I admit that. But it almost would have been better if they would have just lost that game close to Utah, because then it's like, okay, we could see what we're building instead of, okay, now Florida's back after one win up against Utah that had big expectations going into that 2022 season. And Anthony Richardson looks like he's going to be a good pro if he could stay healthy. But they were 6-7 with him at Florida. And then this past season, 5-7. This is a fan base that their standard may not be realistic because of what they were in the early 2000s, mid-2000s with Urban Meyer, right? And winning those 2 national championship games. And they've had some double-digit win seasons since, but they've never had the feel of a national championship team since Urban Meyer has left. And now you maybe not be in the area of like Miami, which is way long gone, but they're one of those programs, and now you ask, when is Florida going to actually be back? And for Billy Napier and you're number 3, right? We see, like, look at Mike Norvell. Slow starts early, then had 2 years that were very impressive. Billy Napier just has to make sure the ship doesn't sink this year. Like, they got to go win. I haven't looked at their schedule yet, but they got to go win 7 games, 8 games. Because if you go 6-7, 5-7, another 5-win season, it's going to be tough to justify bringing Billy Napier back as the head coach of Florida then for a 4th season. So I have a big question about Billy Napier too. Stu, who's your final coach?
For me, it's another SEC coach, Lane Kiffin. Year 5, Ole Miss, 11-2 last year. Pretty good season for them. Looking at their schedule this year, no Texas, no Bama, no Missouri, no Tennessee, no Oklahoma. They do have Oklahoma, but Oklahoma and Georgia are both at home.
Okay.
So their schedule's kind of on the favorable side. He has a returning quarterback in Jackson Dart. Foundation is there. I just think for Kiffin, again, kind of like with Kelly, same thing with Alabama kind of in transition. And I think they're going to be good. This isn't a slight on Alabama or DeBoer, but this is kind of when you want to take advantage and maybe finish 1st or 2nd in the conference when Bama is not what they're probably going to be in 2 years.
So you got Georgia in the mix, obviously.
Yeah, Georgia too, obviously, yeah.
But you look at Ole Miss, and I think it actually gets tougher for a coach like Lane Kiffin. Also, the same could be said for James Franklin. You know, their records are usually like, okay, they're not great, but they're really good. And they just can't beat some certain teams. And no one ever thought they were going to get in a 14 playoff. But now going to 12, it's almost like Lane Kiffin and James Franklin, right, just for starters, both have to make the playoffs. Like, the way that we're going to view coaches missing the playoff this year is going to be way different from when you miss it in a 14 format than when you miss it now in a 12-team format. Because you should be able to be good, not great, and still make the playoff in a 12-team format. All right, let's go to players. I didn't think this would be the first player on my list. But this is a team that can make the college football playoff. And there's questions about their coach and Marcus Freeman. I want to know what Riley Leonard is. Because you saw a little bit of him at Duke where you thought he could be a player. And now, right, another transfer quarterback going to Notre Dame, like what we saw from Sam Hartman, who you knew was a good quarterback at Wake Forest. There's expectations for Notre Dame to make the college football playoff. I just don't know what the quarterback's going to be. He's got to stay healthy. I just don't know how consistent he could be. And I'm fascinated by Riley Leonard entering this season. And I know, Stu, you are a Notre Dame fan, and you're a proud Notre Dame fan, unlike some other people around here that used to be Notre Dame fans, and then now they say they're not a Notre Dame fan. And we know that they've been a Notre Dame fan recently, and I know they gave up that rooting, allegiance. I think that's the right word there.
Yeah.
Right, Marco? Did that sound right?
Rooting interests and their allegiance to the team.
Yeah, their allegiance.
You just kind of combined them. But yes, it makes sense.
So Hickey today claiming that he has not rooted for Notre Dame since what? He committed to Penn State, which is just not true. When he was working with Bill, he was a Notre Dame and a Penn State fan. And even like a year ago, he'd wear Notre Dame gear. So you never knew that about Hickey?
No, I knew that. I didn't realize that he renounced his allegiance to Notre Dame. I was unaware of.
Yeah, no. So today, I guess on Maggie and Perloff, they did.
Since he committed to Penn State, how is that possible that we would even know about it then?
Exactly. But I took a little shot at at Hickey today on social media because they were at Maggie and Perloff doing best college football stadiums to go to. And they didn't have Notre Dame. They didn't have Penn State. And I said, oh, this is really going to rub Hickey, that Penn State and Notre Dame fan, the wrong way. He's like, I haven't rooted for Notre Dame since high school. And I'm like, that's just not true. So anyway, I have questions about Hickey's second favorite quarterback in Riley Leonard entering this season. Stu?
My first quarterback is Cade Klubnik from Clemson. Obviously, down year last year for Clemson. Their offense was outside of the top 50. He was okay, I think, at times, but for a program that has had Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, great quarterbacks, he's the next one that has to step up. And the fact that they don't use the transfer portal, a lot is on his shoulders to kind of carry that offense. So I'm curious to see what he's going to bring this season.
I actually think it's more of a Dabo problem, too. Because
yeah, it definitely is.
It's like, all right, they had Deshaun Watson, then they had Trevor Lawrence, and then after that, it was DJ Uiagalelei. That was a disaster. Then everyone's hyping up Cade Klubnik, and there's names that people are hyping up, but they're not being where they should. I put that more on Dabo Sweetie. And the final one, it's probably more so the offensive line at Colorado, but that's just not sexy. So I will go with Shedeur Sanders, because that's a guy who could be the first quarterback taken in the draft. That's what some people are predicting right now. I just, this year, that offensive line almost got him killed last year. Now, they revamped the offensive line, but just revamping the offensive line, as Marco knows being a Giant fan, they've revamped the offensive line every year. Oh, yeah, they got better, but if you were really bad and you got slightly better, you're still a bad offensive line. So Colorado, they are an attention-worthy program because of Coach Prime, because of Shedeur Sanders, because of Travis Hunter. But I want to see if Shedeur can lead Colorado to a bowl game this year, because that really shows your franchise quarterback when you win with less. Final player here.
Oklahoma quarterback Jackson Arnold. You lose Dylan Gabriel, who was very successful last year. He leaves via the transfer portal. Venable still, he's starting to build on when he first got there. A little better last year. So it's going to be a tough road. Obviously, being in the SEC now, it's not the Big 12 anymore. It's a step up in the teams you're going to play. And for a first-time starting quarterback, I'm very curious to see what he looks like.
Now, I know that all we've been talking about is Texas to the SEC, Texas to the SEC. And there's big expectations for Texas this year. I feel like no one's talking about Oklahoma going to the SEC. Feels like it's weird flying under the radar entering the SEC. All right, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back. Let's get the latest Infinity Sports Network update first with El Capitan, Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And Zach, we're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Lots of players still working on contract extensions around the NFL, which makes practicing this time of the year tricky. That includes Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel. Explain the situation in the way that only McDaniel can.
The plan is something that I think, there's two parts to it. I think it's important to acknowledge that Tua is in the midst of a contract negotiation. That's important to him and the football team.
Well, he eventually went on to say that the situation is fluid and they're going to take it day by day. Checking baseball, you got the Phillies and Twins even at 4. They're in the 8th inning. Cubs lead the Brewers 2-1, top 5. Rockies a 3-1 lead on the Red Sox. They're in the 2nd. Astros and A's just getting underway. Couple of finals. Reds bounce the Braves 9-4. That's game 1 of 2. Pirates blank the Cardinals 5-0. Brewers putting Christian Yelich on the IL due to lower back inflammation. Yelich currently leads the National League with a .315 average. And the Knicks and head coach Tom Thibodeau reportedly agreeing on a 3-year extension. I'm Marco Belletti.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alrighty, it's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Let's listen up to Aaron Rodgers. He believes the New York Jets and the New York Giants should be referred to as the New Jersey Jets and the New Jersey Giants. This is on Part of My Take via Barstool Sports.
Where do you live in New York? Do you live in New Jersey?
Yeah, nobody lives in
Yeah, you
in
can't
New
live in New
If
York.
you're a Giant, you can. But still, I don't know why you would, just because the traffic into a tunnel and
Yeah.
all of our stuff. I joke about. I know that the stadium used to be on Long Island, but we're the New Jersey Jets.
Yeah.
So we're the Giants.
Yeah.
The Giants play in New Jersey.
There's only one team that plays in New York.
yeah.
It's the Buffalo Bills.
Bills Mafia.
Yeah. Bills Mafia.
He knows he's trolling there, and he's just trying to be funny. This is what we're doing, Aaron Rodgers, before entering the season. I also heard Aaron Rodgers say today that he's been obsessed with Egypt for 3 decades. Aaron Rodgers, what, 40, 41? So you're telling me when he was like, what, 11, 12, 13, 14, that he was obsessed with Egypt and he had this idea he was going to go there one day? Jeez. There's a lot with Aaron Rodgers, but he's a heck of a quarterback. Here is George Kittle on his message to Brandon Ayuk during contract negotiations.
I try my best to not talk to guys going through the contract negotiations, so when I get into positions like this, I don't have to lie to you guys. And so, because I like to keep those conversations between us, but something that I like to tell anybody going through a contract is same thing that Richard Sherman told me was like contracts are like braces. They suck the entire time, and then once you get them off, you forget that you ever had them.
Good.
But this time, in case of a contract, you get a big bag of money. So it's just like, that's what I just try to tell him. It's like it's a horrible process. Like I hated the entire process when I was going through it. Bosa's last year was awful. He didn't get it done till the first week of the season. So it's like it's not fun. But when it gets done, or hopefully when it gets done, you're like, hey, I got to play football now with my job security and like my livelihood all secured.
It's a good comp with braces. Stu, you ever have braces?
I did.
I hated having braces.
It was terrible.
I forget how long I had braces for, but I was always like obsessed. I would get annoyed with them, and I would like rip out the wire, and then I have to go back to the dentist and everything. I could not stand them. I found them to be very irritating.
Yeah, like the rubber band that was on the actual brace, like I would like pick at it and the wire would come loose. It was just a mess.
And you used to get like certain colored braces too. I should have just done something like clear now looking back at it. If you did like blue and orange or blue and red or things like that, it looks so weird. Here is Jamar Chase. They're doing these NFL Top 100 rankings. It's on NFL's Twitter. And this is how Jamar Chase answered who should be the number 1 player in the NFL.
Who's the number 1 player?
On the what? I'm not saying him. I give credit when it's due, but I'm not saying his name.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you do. I'm not saying his name, brother. I'm sorry. Joe Burrow. I'm not saying that guy's name. He's good. He's amazing. He's good. Not gonna lie. I'm salty, though. I'm a little salty. 2 years in a row. But I'm putting Burrow first.
I actually respect it from Jamar Chase because he knows he has to say Patrick Mahomes. But because of the rivalry between the Chiefs and the Bengals, I think that's genuine. It actually irritates him that even though they've had success up against them, they still don't have a Lombardi trophy. And you know what? Right now, I think that's the best rivalry in the NFL. And it's not in division. It's in the same conference. But Chiefs-Bengals, you've had the playoffs, and then some people may say Chiefs-Bills, honestly. But for it to be a rivalry, the other team has to win sometimes. Can't just be so one-sided in the postseason. At least the Bengals got that one AFC Championship game victory up against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Eagles and 49ers is a good one if they could both meet up again. And if we could see them in the postseason like we did 2 years ago. But just talking about rivalries that you wouldn't expect to be a rivalry, because everyone could talk about Steelers and Ravens or whatever, Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. But that is a phenomenal rivalry because it lives up to the hype in not only the regular season but also the postseason as well. Let's go to Sean Foster, the new head football coach at UCLA. UCLA is now in the Big Ten, and Deshaun Foster started off with a Very interesting first impression. Listen up.
How you guys doing? I'm happy to be here. Glad to be a part of this great conference. Finally putting two great emblems together, UCLA and the Big Ten. We're a school that's won, 123 championships, so this fits us being right in this conference. Football-wise, we're just excited. I'm sure you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA. It's us and USC. I'm just basically excited, really. That's it. Any questions?
So that wasn't his introductory press conference. That was just his first press conference at Big Ten Media Days. When I think of horrible introductory press conferences, two come to mind right away. Nick Sirianni and Adam Gase. That's actually worse because he's been on the job now for a little bit. Big Ten, you just get out there, hey, we're UCLA, I'm Deshaun Foster, we're excited to be in the Big Ten. All right, let's go. Fire away. What are your questions? That's all you got to do. It's like you don't have to sell, you already got the job. It's not like your first day on the job. You don't have to sell yourself to the Big Ten media. That was just a mess. Here is Steve Spurrier on a Peek Inside Florida Gators football podcast on what conference Florida State and Clemson should be in.
Well, I think FSU definitely belongs in the SEC. Clemson sort of belongs there also, but I don't know if the SEC wants to go to 18 teams. So I don't know. Maybe the Big Ten would like to have them. Who knows? But it is what it is, and I think you just go 1 year at a time, and then after that, see where you're at and go from there.
Right now, it seems like, according to reports, neither the Big Ten or SEC want Florida State and Clemson. But based off feel, yes, it feels like Clemson and Florida State should be in the SEC. But it also doesn't feel like Oregon and USC should be in the Big Ten. But they're in the Big Ten. So if Florida State's going to depart the ACC, which I don't think it's a matter of if, it's just when. If you said to me, is it more likely they go to the SEC or the Big Ten, I would say the Big Ten because the Big Ten probably wants to get into Florida. But if neither want them and they just go to the Big 12, man, that's not a good look for Florida State nor Clemson, because even though the Big 12, I think, is slightly better than the ACC right now, I would not be jumping for joy thinking that's this tremendous move. Okay, we'll take a break on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Michigan won it all last year. We'll do a little college football fix with the defensive MVP of the national championship game. Will Johnson's going to join us, the defensive back, projected top 10 pick. It is the highest ranked, or one of the highest ranked players in the new EA Sports video game for college football. Will Johnson will join us next to preview the Wolverines.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We miss college football.
Milrose stands in. He throws into the end zone. He caught it. It's caught by Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama.
We can't wait for the 2024 season.
Hands it off to Edwards, who will bounce it outside. Got him at 40. Got him at 30. Donovan Edwards is in the clear. His second touchdown run of the ball game. This time from 46 yards. And Michigan has taken a 13-3 lead on the second touchdown of the night from the man who was not tripping.
And we're counting down the days to kick off.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
I said no.
Are we there yet?
What's wrong with your ears? Here is your college football fix, only on the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. 38 days away until the defending champion Michigan Wolverines kick off their season against Fresno State. And now joining us is the defensive MVP from the national championship game, and that, of course, is Will Johnson. Will, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this, and how you been?
I've been great. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. So last year was clearly an exciting one for you guys, and as the season did get deeper and deeper, the games got bigger and bigger. Nothing bigger, though, than the national championship victory up against Washington. Let's pick up really where we left off last season, where the second half got started and you made a big play, get an interception against Michael Penix Jr. Just kind of take us through that feeling at halftime and what you were able to do to open up that second half to secure pretty much a national championship for Michigan.
Yeah, I would say going into halftime, we were very positive. We knew we had a good chance of winning that game, so we just wanted to come out, start fast when we got back out there. And all I remember is going out there, dropping into my zone, seeing he had pressure, thinking he was throwing it out of bounds, and then the ball just started floating in the air. I was like, oh, I can go make a play on this, and I went up to catch it. And after that, it was just all instinct. So, yeah, it was just we got a quick start on the second half, and just made a run for it after that.
I know it's sometimes tough to appreciate it all in the moment because everything moves so quickly, but now you've had more than a few months to look back at what you guys were able to accomplish last year. I know you guys are getting set for a new season coming up at the end of August against Fresno State, but when you look back at that team, what kind of really stands out to you? What are the memories that come back to mind when you look back at that group?
Yeah, we're just a really tight-knit group, a really disciplined group, really hardworking group. We're really just clicking on all cylinders. So I think that's what made us go out there and play the way we did, going 15-0, because all we wanted was perfection, and I feel like that's what we did out there.
You guys had some big games. Penn State, obviously the game against Ohio State, the national championship game against Washington, but then the Rose Bowl, Michigan, Alabama, the two big programs that goes on to be Nick Saban's final game as a head coach. I know a lot has happened since then, but did you realize like the magnitude of that game in the moment about how big that game was, although it was a semifinal game of the National College Football Playoff?
Yeah, we knew it was a big game. Playing Alabama was always a big game that you got to be ready for. So, and it's the Rose Bowl. Everyone told us playing on that field just feels different than any other field. So we definitely felt it out there. It just felt like a movie when you were playing on that field. It was like started light, it went dark, lights came on, all the big moments started happening. So yeah, it was like a movie out there, and then we came out with the win. So it was perfect situation for us.
Will Johnson here with us. That was Nick Saban's final game at Alabama. It was Jim Harbaugh's second to final game at Michigan. You guys then go on to win the national championship, and then shortly after that, Coach leaves for the Los Angeles Chargers. Just take me back. I know it was rumored for years, and he's had different interviews, but when you knew that Coach was leaving, just what was the first thing that you thought of when you found out Coach was going back to the NFL?
It was a tough feeling. I mean, the next thought is just who else is he taking with him? Because we had a lot of great coaches on that staff last year. So it definitely hurt. I definitely missed those guys. They're great coaches, and I know they're doing a great job in LA now, but we got some great coaches that came in now and stepped in, and they're doing a great job too. So doing great jobs in their roles, and sad to see him leave, but I wish the best for him.
I know, like, right after it happened, I had Blake Corum on, and Blake immediately was happy for Coach Harbaugh, but then said Sharon Moore has to be the next guy. And I know that was a big feeling around the program. What has stood out to you so far? I know Sharon has been with the program for a while, but now being in the head coaching chair, what does a Sharon Moore kind of team look like as a head coach?
He's all about the players. He's all about what makes us run well, what makes us tick. He lets us work. He likes to work hard. He's all about the details. He has a lot of the same principles Coach Harbaugh had and that last staff had. So he's just a really detailed guy, really hard worker, and that reflects out on us too.
We know Wink Martindale is definitely a character. He's been around a long time. Your early impressions on Coach Martindale?
Same with him. I mean, he's the OG. He's been around for a long time. He's had some keep it real moments with us in his meetings. He always keeps it real. Lets us know how he feels about us. He lets us communicate with him very well too. So I think it's good that he's open because we just had a very successful season, and he's coming in trying to learn the way we do things, and even though he's been around for a long time. So I think that's been pretty good for us.
Will Johnson here with us. We know how good your defense was last year, but I think nationally the identity of this team was Blake Corum, was the offensive line, was Jim Harbaugh, J.J. McCarthy. Now as we enter this season, I feel like the identity of Michigan is the defense. So with all that being said, what do you think this defense can do this year, and what do you think this defense is going to look like?
I think it could be special. I mean, we got a lot of returning guys, a lot of high-end guys that can go out there and compete at a high level. So we got some guys that can step up in some big roles and also play at a high level too. So I think we got a bright upside. We got a lot of work to do. We got to go out there and show it, improve what we know we can be. But yeah, we're very excited for this year, and we can't wait to go play out there.
The spotlight not only is on you at Michigan, but it's on you, Will Johnson, nationally. Like, I look at mock drafts now, you're projected to go in the top 10. The EA Sports college football video game came back. You were tied for the highest ranking in the game. How have you kind of been dealing with more and more spotlight and more people talking about you and expecting more and more big things out of you?
I think it's all a blessing, really. I just take it in as a blessing, and it's all a thing that's motivating for me because I'm getting all this spotlight, but I want to go out there and still perform the best I can. So my thing is just to keep working hard. Hard work is undefeated, so just all I do is try to work hard in the off season, do everything I can to go out there and perform and be the best version of myself on Saturdays.
What is the best version of yourself? Because you were pretty damn special last year, but you weren't fully healthy. So how much better can Will Johnson get, in your opinion?
I think he can always be a lot better. I've been trying to work on all weaknesses that I can find this offseason, and I'm getting as strong and as fast and as healthy as I can be. And I think that's where I'm at right now. So I'm super excited, and I feel good.
How much have you been playing the video game, by the way? You a big video game guy?
Yeah, I'm actually not a big video game guy, but this game has been really fun. I used to play it a lot when it was out in NCAA 14, but yeah, I'm back to it. We've been playing every day since we got it. All of the guys.
Is it at all weird when you're playing as Michigan and then you're in the game, but you're in control of yourself in the game, if you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm like always talking in third person when my player makes a play. But it's definitely cool. I get mad when he gets beat. One of my teammates beat me with my own player. It's kind of weird, but yeah, it's definitely cool to see.
That's awesome. Will Johnson here with us as we're previewing the Michigan season. So I talked about you being projected in the top 10 of the draft. I've seen Mason Graham, your teammate, as well, be in the top 10, top 15. What kind of season do you think Mason could have? Tell me a little bit more about him.
Yeah, he can have a phenomenal season. He's had 2 great years, his first 2 years. He's a freak. I mean, you can't even describe the way he plays, the way he goes out there and handles people. So, I mean, he's a freak athlete, can move like no other at that size. And he's a very confident guy. So I think he's only going to get better this year, him and KG.
Yeah, some disappointing news, though, going back to the spring with Rod Moore tearing his ACL. Just what has communication been like with Rod? He's obviously going through a lot right now, having to deal with that injury coming off a national championship season.
Yeah, Rod's he's been around. He's still seeing him every day in the lift groups, and he's back walking around, doing movement things too. So he's been attacking his rehab, and he's getting better each and every day. I see him. So, I think he's in a great place right now.
Will Johnson here with us. You being a leader of this team, flipping to the other side of the ball. We know J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum are no longer there. Donovan Edwards returns, and Alex Orji is back, and there's a lot of expectations on him as it's expected he's going to be the starter. What do you think Alex will look like this year? I know we got to see him in small doses last year, but if he is the starter, what do you think he'll look like at QB?
I think he does a lot of special things. He's just probably the freakiest athlete on our team. He can throw the ball deep. He can make all the throws. He's a leader. He can go out there and command the offense, and he can make plays with his legs too. So I feel like he can really do it all. So, I mean, he's got to go out there and prove it and go out there and do what he does. I think he has a bright future ahead of him.
What are your practices like? Because we know that your defense sets the tone, and your defense is maybe the best defense in college football. Does the defense make the offense better? Like, how competitive are these practices when you guys go up against one another?
They're definitely very competitive. I mean, we're always talking to each other, always talking smack. A lot of the guys in my class, we're very close, and a lot of them are on offense, and a few of us are on defense too, so we're always going back and forth with each other. Now, yeah, I would say the defense gets the best of them a little bit to get them going, but yeah, we definitely compete every day, and that's what it's going to be all camp, and I'm super excited for it.
Wrapping up with Will Johnson from the Michigan Wolverines, the defensive back that, of course, was the defensive MVP in the national championship game this past year, 38 days away until Michigan kicks off their title defense. They'll be going up against Fresno State. Let me talk about your old quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. We know what he did at Michigan. Now he's off to the NFL with the Minnesota Vikings. For people doubting J.J. McCarthy, what do you say to them, and what do you think the Minnesota Vikings are getting in your old quarterback?
I think they're getting a great leader, a great guy, a great human being that's going to get the team where they need to be. I mean, he's a winner. He goes out there and plays hard. He doesn't care what the circumstance is. He's going to go out there and get it done for his guys. So I know there's going to be a lot of people that are bought in around him, and they're going to get a very special player that's going to win them some games. So I'm super excited to see it.
Now, getting back to the team this year, Will, I saw the media poll the other day. Ohio State was 1 in the Big Ten. Oregon was 2. Penn State was 3. And then Michigan was 4th. With it being penned as this is Ohio State's conference to lose, you guys have won it the last 3 years at Michigan. Just how do you react to that when you hear people say that this is Ohio State's conference to lose in the Big Ten this year?
I mean, we wouldn't want it any other way. That's how it always has been. We love when the odds are stacked against us. So our back against the wall. That's how we train. That's how we work. And we wouldn't want it any other way. So I can't wait to go out there and just prove ourselves right.
Do you feel like this team is disrespected headed into this year, even though there's been a lot of change?
I mean, we're not worried about it. We just focus on ourselves, and that's what makes us the best.
So how do you kind of approach this season, Will Johnson? Because, right, everyone's talking about the NFL. You're focused on this season at Michigan. It could be your last one with the program. You guys just achieved a national championship, and now it's the next chapter. So take me through your mental approach as you guys get ready for this season. And clearly there's a lot of moving pieces on your plate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just attacking it the same way I always have. Just working hard, studying a lot of film, trying to be the best leader I can with my team, being there for my teammates when they need me, bringing those younger guys along that we're going to need this year. That's really been one of my biggest things I've been trying to do, just keep adding to the team. We got a lot of new guys, so passing on that knowledge that we've had with the returning guys to the new guys and get us all on the same page. So really trying to be the best leader, be the best person, and the best version of myself on the football field I can be, and try to play at the highest level.
Well, it's been a heck of a first 2 years for you at Michigan. Good luck, good health here in year number 3, and appreciate you joining us for a few minutes today.
Thank you.
There he is, Will Johnson from the national champion Michigan Wolverines, joining us on the Infinity Sports Network. So I just think it's, you go and you try to figure out what Michigan is this year. Like, they're going to be a good team. That big litmus test is really the Texas game week 2. They'll beat Fresno State. And then week 2, you play Texas. That's at the Big House. Texas is perceived to be probably the 4th best team in college football right now. Or at least I think that's the case. And that's a statement game where we could kind of get a feeling of what Michigan's going to be this year. Like, you look at their schedule: Fresno State, Texas, Arkansas State, USC, Minnesota, Washington, Illinois, Michigan State, Oregon, Indiana, Northwestern, and Ohio State. There's really 3-4 games most on this schedule where you're like, okay, we got some games on this schedule. Texas, obviously, Oregon, obviously, and Ohio State. I think Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State are 3 of the 4 best teams in the country right now. And obviously Georgia's that bunch, but they don't play Georgia. And then USC, just because the name of it, USC Michigan, at the Big House is going to be fun, even though we don't know what USC is going to be. So it's like 3.5 games that you're like, wow, that's going to be a game. So if Michigan 2-3 losses, like if they're in that realm, then that's a team that should be in the college football playoff. Now, you got to see what the split is in the Big Ten, because as we've talked about, right, the 5 conference champions get it, and then you got 7 more spots. So if you're in that 3-4 line in the Big Ten, you'll be in that conversation to make the college football playoff. It's all going to come down to, can Alex Orji be serviceable? They're going to run the ball a lot with Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards needs to be more Donovan Edwards of 2 years ago than this year. That defense is going to be special. But can you get enough out of the quarterback? And can you find a way to take one out of Texas, Ohio State, and Oregon? You win one of those games, and hey, when you have a new head coach come in, there's always a game that you lose that you don't expect to lose. But if you're sitting there with 3 losses at the end of the year, you'll be right in that college football playoff conversation. So Michigan's on that team. They're right in the contending spot to be a college football playoff team. If it was 4, they probably wouldn't be. But now in a 12-team playoff, yes, just because there's a lot of uncertainty and transition with Michigan right now. Let me play you before we take a break. This is Kirk Campbell on Costa and Jansen, 97.1, The Ticket in Detroit. Kirk is now the Michigan offensive coordinator, was the quarterback coach a year ago. And this is what Kirk had to say about what the offensive identity of Michigan is going to be this year.
We script with intention. You just don't want to throw plays out there and just like, oh, let's see if we can do this. No, we want to be a physical offensive line. We're going to win football games because of our physicality, and people fear the winged helmet. So we got to be intentional with how we script that, being gap scheme, downhill, physical run schemes.
And that's what made Michigan so great the last 3 years. See, they had some players that could pop, but what made Michigan great the last 3 years, it wasn't sexiness. It wasn't like, oh, let's go get flash and speed and all that stuff. It was, we're going to beat the snot out of you in the trenches. That's the football I like. You know, a lot of people love video game football. Like Stu's a big video game football guy. You know, LSU, oh, let's dominate you with our wide receivers. Those programs, I know LSU's won 3 national championships in 2000. But talk about LSU recently. It's like the programs that win, they have great offensive lines. And they could get to a quarterback. And you don't need a PhD in football to figure that out, what wins. So that offensive line, that wasn't even their best offensive line last year compared to the other 2 years. Michigan's going to have a good offensive line, you know that. Donovan Edwards going to have a bounce-back season, you know that. Can the quarterback just be sufficient? And then you look at the defense. That defense, they're going to beat the snot out of you. There's no doubt about that. So do I expect Michigan to make the college football playoff this year? I would say they're right on the line. They're right there. I think you have Ohio State, I think, does win the conference this year, to be fair. You know, I'll be fair, even though I'm wearing a Michigan polo right now. And then after that, Oregon, I think, gets the edge for the 2 spot. But you have Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan competing to get into that top 3. That's the way that I look at it right now. And personally, right now, I would order it the way that the Big Ten media poll did order it. I don't think that's crazy to say. Okay, we'll take a break. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Kyle Shanahan wanted Bill Belichick. We'll tell you what the role would be when we come on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, it is the Infinity Sports Network, and it is the Zach Gelb Show. So Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, was on the TK show with Tim Kawakami, and Tim asked him, did he ask Bill Belichick to join his staff this offseason with their relationship? Let's listen up.
I did. I threw it out to him he loves football so much that you never know what he would. I can't believe that he's not a head coach of a team right now. I know what I would do if I was an owner, so that shocks me. And the last thing you want to do is insult someone like Bill Belichick. But I know he just loves ball in the simplest form. So I threw it all out to him, like whatever he'd want to do.
DC?
Yeah. I was like, would you be interested? And he was very nice and appreciative, but he politely turned me down. But I think he's helping out his son a little bit. I know he's involved in Washington up there and trying to start that help out with Jet Fish and what he's doing out there. And, it could be good too, because I'm sure he's going to be back in the league next year. And I don't know how, and I could be going against him. He could be in the NFC West. So it would have sucked if he came here and then he was going against us every week too. So that's stuff you got to be careful about. But he's the best. And I just like talking to him.
Stu, do me a favor. Play me that one more time. I just got to make sure that I just heard something the right way with what Shanahan may have just dropped. Go ahead.
I did. I threw it out to him he loves football so much that you never know what he would. I can't believe that he's not a head coach of a team right now. I know what I would do if I was an owner, so that shocks me. And the last thing you want to do is insult someone like Bill Belichick. But I know he just loves ball in the simplest form. So I threw it all out to him, like whatever he'd want to
DC?
do. Yeah. I was like, would you be interested? And he was very nice and appreciative, but he politely turned me down. But I think he's helping out his son a little bit. I know he's involved in Washington up there and trying to start that help out with Jet Fish and what he's doing out there. And, it could be good too, because I'm sure he's going to be back in the league next year. And I don't know how, and I could be going against him. He could be in the NFC West. So it would have sucked if he came here and then he was going against us every week too. So that's stuff you got to be careful about. But he's the best. And I just like talking to him.
All right. I did hear that right. I thought I was like, what the heck is he? At first, where is he going in the NFC West? Kyle, you're not going anywhere in San Francisco. Sean McVay, I don't think he's retiring. There was a thought of that a few years ago. Seattle just hired a new head football coach in Mike McDonald. And is Bill rushing to go to the Arizona Cardinals? Probably not. And not only that, and I know Bill may not be able to be as selective as he wanted to be, but there was a thought that he didn't want to go out west this year. They don't want to have to move that far. So, it's a nice thing for Kyle Shanahan to say in terms of, maybe I'll have to go up against the NFC West. But is there a more roll your eyes type of moment? I get it. Bill's a legend. No national radio host likes Bill Belichick, loves Bill Belichick more than me. But it's kind of crazy the impact Bill has on people. Like, if you remember the Super Bowl, the second time they played the Rams, Sean McVay, before the game, was just like happy to be there. Oh, Bill, it's an honor to go up against you. But like Doug Peterson, when he went up against Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl, you go up in that pregame talk, like Doug was looking at him, basically like thinking to himself, I can't wait to kick your ass tonight. And when you have Shanahan here, who blew that lead 28-3 as the OC of the Falcons to Belichick, Belichick reached out to him afterwards, and they now have this good relationship. And I get it. It's not a bad move by Shanahan to call up Bill and basically be like, hey, Bill, you want to be my DC? And if Bill said yes, it would be wonderful. But then what would have happened if the 49ers don't win the Super Bowl? Like, I at least appreciate that Shanahan is comfortable enough to extend the offer. But if the 49ers don't win a Super Bowl this year, then people would have said, hey, Bill, come coach the 49ers. You're already the DC there. So it's like one of those things where I don't think Bill is coaching in the NFC West next year. And I don't fault Shanahan for doing it. I don't, to be clear. But the 49ers, the thing I don't get with the 49ers, they revealed things that don't need to be revealed. Like, remember when they told everyone, hey, we tried to go get Tom Brady? Like, unnecessary. You tried, it didn't happen. You don't have to be the ones to reveal that. And saying now, hey, I had a bill to be my DC, I don't think you need to reveal those things. Let some journalists break that story. And then Kyle should take a page out of Bill's book and basically just be like, yeah, we're not going to talk about things like that. All righty. We're just not going to do that. I look at Bill's future, though. He clearly wants to coach again. And I know Bill is maybe preoccupied right now with a new girlfriend who's, what, like 24? That's still creepy. Very creepy. Legal, but creepy. I'm trying to think where Bill's going to wind up next. And there's 3 destinations that I think of right away. Number 1, the Dallas Cowboys. And I do think that job's going to be open. And Jerry Jones basically already told you he thinks he could work well with Bill Belichick. So I think the Cowboys are going to be in play, especially when they miss the playoffs this year. Then I'm going to say the Giants. I don't think the Giants should get rid of Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll regardless of what happens this year. But with that being said, you know patience really doesn't exist in this league. And if teams could have more patience, I think you go through the really tough 3-4 years, and then you have the continuity, and then it could work. Like, eventually you got to get that ball rolling. But, like, Mark, I'll ask you this. What do Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll have to do this year to keep their job? Because I think the Giants, the first year was impressive, the second year wasn't. But this year, they're not really, they're set up to have a good defense and an offense that has one playmaker that really impresses you. Like, I think that they should both be back next year, and you kind of be patient with these guys.
I would be, depending on what you see. It can't be a dumpster fire. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to.
It can't be Joe Judge when he let it get away from him.
Yeah, when you basically kneel on third down. Yeah,
yes.
You can't do that. Yeah, look, they need steady improvement. It would really behoove them if Daniel Jones could take a step forward and prove that he's really the quarterback and actually be under contract for next year.
And I don't think that's going to happen.
If they're moving on from Daniel Jones, that's a strike against them because they invested in him, and also because now you're 3 years in, you still don't even know who your quarterback is. That's a problem. We can easily reset the clock. We can find somebody else that can get a quarterback. That'll hurt them, but I do think there's 2 things. One, the Giants and John Mara want stability, and they haven't had it in a really long time.
While, yeah.
So they're almost begging Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, just don't be a disaster, and I'll give you plenty of rope to be able to build this thing properly.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Belichick's next destination. I think the Cowboys are definitely in play, and I think McCarthy's gone after this year. Last year of a contract. The Giants, and it's going to sound crazy to say, but if I'm a Giant fan, which I'm not, I know Bill is now 72. I would rather have Schoen and Daboll back next year than Belichick, personally, if I was a Giant fan.
Again, depending on how the season goes, I am 100% in agreement with that. However,
if the Giants had a team that was ready to win, different story.
No, and also, too, if the team quit. Last year, it showed me a lot with Brian Daboll, as bad as everything was for such a long period of time. They actually got better as the season went on as a mash unit. That shows you that they're truly playing and they believe in their coach. That's the problem. That's the one thing that gives me a little bit of a pause, because I do think that John Mara would love to finish the Belichick chapter with the Giants. And I know Belichick would love to whisper in Mara's ear, hey, bring me home and I'll bring you back to where you should be.
Bring me home, John.
Yeah.
Come on, John.
Now, that's the one mistake over the last, 35 years? Letting Belichick walk out the door without ever giving him an opportunity to be the head coach when it was there. That is a mistake that the Giants would love to correct.
Here's the thing, though. That always concerns me when teams operate trying to fix things that got away from them, then decades and decades later doing it.
Or play nostalgia. Yeah, that's a problem.
Like the White Sox with Tony La Russa.
Yeah.
That didn't work out well.
Yeah. Anytime you go backwards, it's really not a good idea.
Mara wanted Barkley back. That was clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Joe Shane was like, hey, in this era of the NFL, we could get someone in that's good, not Saquon Barkley, Devin Motor Singletary, pay him less and then utilize the resources elsewhere. So that's like, now give credit to Mara, at least he didn't force it on Shane and let Shane still make the call. But that's like an old school approach. And now if you're bringing back Belichick just to right a wrong from years ago, it's like, that would concern me.
Again, I don't think he'll pull that trigger unless the Giants are looking at a 4-win season where everything falls apart. If they're in it to a point, if they're 7-8 wins, it's not even necessarily a win total. It's also just the way the team performs. You could win 5 games, but look like you're getting better. Look like the pieces are coming into place and look like it's getting close. There's one injury here or there, one 63-yard field goal that there's different situations. I don't think Mara wants to make a change, but if he's going to make a change, it's going to be Belichick.
And then the other destination, I don't think this team's going to make a change. And this coach is a good coach, but there's questions if he could get the job done. Like, he has changed the direction of that franchise, but now they're kind of stuck on just being good, not great. It's Buffalo Bills. And I don't think Bill would be annoyed about having to go up against the AFC East and having to maybe get a little payback on Robert Kraft, who Robert Kraft blocked him from maybe getting the Falcons job, reportedly.
It's a good call. That's a situation, to be fair.
I think the Bills would do it, though.
I would have done it this year.
I think that's what I'm saying.
I would have pulled the plug on McDermott last year and went after Belichick.
I know the Pagula family hasn't been there for the whole time, but the Bills, right, from 2000 to like 2016, 2017, like never made the playoffs, and all they do is make the playoffs. I think they're afraid to get rid of someone that has brought them to the playoffs. But it's like, all right, you're just going to be stuck on good.
They plateaued.
You got to get over the hump.
And there's not a lot of time, and the NFL is a constantly revolving door. You think your window's open for 5, 6, 7 years? To me, that's fool's gold. Your roster continually changes. I think the Bills needed to capitalize, and they probably should do that. I'll give you one other destination. I missed some of the beginning. I don't know if you got to it. Another destination, if they don't perform well, watch out for Philly.
And he has a respect for Howie Roseman. Now, those egos could clash.
And that's a ready-made team that Belichick could walk into and fix whatever it is that went wrong last year at the end of the year, and if it goes wrong again this year.
All right, quick prediction time. Just go around the room, give me the team. Where's Bill Belichick coaching next year? You could all say he's not coaching.
I'll go with the Eagles.
You'll go with the Eagles. I'm saying Dallas. Stu?
I'm also saying Dallas.
Okay. So, inside the NFC East, we have Belichick going to.
Now, I've been saying this with JR. We talk a lot about this. I'll give you a different coach for Dallas. And I've been on this for a while. Dion. Drafting Shador. I'm really not kidding.
No, I don't think it's crazy.
It goes south with Mike McCarthy for whatever way. 12 wins and first-round exit, whatever way you want to paint it. 9 wins, whatever way.
He's a lame-duck coach. This is what Jerry Jones, that's a contract run out.
McCarthy gets booted out. Deion Sanders, who doesn't want to be there for the long haul in Colorado. And once his sons are gone, he's gone. I believe that. At the end of the year, I think Deion's walking away regardless. And he's already talked about only a few places I want my son to go. I can see him forcing his hand with the NFL teams. You don't want to draft Shador. He doesn't want to play for you. He wants to play for me as I'm the head coach in Dallas.
And I know Deion has said he doesn't envision himself as a NFL coach, but having the opportunity to coach your kid, I think it's a little bit.
With the star under Jerry Jones?
Yeah, that would be a Jerry Jones move.
100%.
That is for sure. Okay, we'll take a time out. It is a Winkler Wednesday. Bart Winkler will join us next. Update time first. Here's El Capitan, Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Now, Zach, Aaron Rodgers caught some heat for missing a couple of mandatory minicamps last month. Rodgers continues to say situation just completely blown out of proportion.
I made it a point to be at every OTA. I was at the physical day as a part of the minicamp. Missed the two practices. Had talks with all my teammates about it. I think they understood it was obviously more of an issue outside the building than it was inside the building. Robert and I are great.
Of course, referring to head coach Robert Saleh. Meanwhile, Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel called the situation fluid as it pertains to the practice habits for Tua Tagovailoa as he continues to work on a contract extension. Checking baseball, you got the Cubs and Brewers. They're even at 2. They're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Rockies are all over the Red Sox 12-2. They're in the 4th inning in Colorado. Astros 2, A's 1. They're at the bottom of the 4th in Oakland. Mariners enjoying a 1-0 advantage on the Angels there in the 3rd. Few finals. Twins walked it off on the Phillies 5-4, courtesy of Max Kepler infield RBI single. Reds pound the Braves 9-4. That's game 1 of 2, while the Pirates blank the Cardinals 5-zip. And from the NBA, Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau reportedly agreeing to a 3-year extension. The Pacers agreed to a 3-year extension with $59 million. Andrew Nemhard. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's an epic battle for the Infinity Sports Network. Zach.
Lethargic, putrid, pathetic. Quitters. They're quitters. What a joke.
Bart.
Something fun to talk about. That's what we do here. It's like, hey, guys, it's like we're just hanging out at a bar talking sports.
It's time for Winkler Wednesday. Only on the Zach Gelb Show.
And we got some news in the NBA as we bring on Bart Winkler, the host of the Bart Winkler Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time. The NBA is awaiting their new TV deal. We know ESPN, NBC, Peacock are a part of that. Then there was a third deal, and it looked like it was going to go to Amazon Prime. Then TNT, I guess, had the right to match it. And this is the statement from the NBA. The NBA today issued the following statement. Warner Brothers Discovery's most recent proposal did not match the terms of Amazon Prime Video's offer, and therefore we have entered into a long-term agreement with Amazon. Throughout these negotiations, our primary objective has been to maximize the reach and accessibility of our games for our fans. Our new arrangement with Amazon supports this goal by complementing the broadcast cable and streaming packages that are already part of our new Disney and NBC Universal arrangements. All three partners have also committed substantial resources to promote the league and enhance the fan experience. We are grateful to Turner Sports for its award-winning coverage of the NBA and look forward to another season of the NBA on TNT. Bart, my first reaction, anyone with a brain knew this was going to happen. I thought it was pretty clear with the way Barkley and Shaq have been talking about it that this will be the last season of Inside the NBA and the NBA on TNT as we know it, and then the future is going to be extremely uncertain if that show is going to go anywhere else after this year, maybe to a different network. Hello, Bart. How are you?
Yeah, hey, not too much of a surprise with that based on, like you said, everything that's been said, and also Adam Silver's the most vindictive commissioner that we've ever seen, so David Zaslav, head of Warner Brothers, one time said one sentence about not needing the NBA, and so Adam Silver has made it his mission to make him pay for that. The way that we're heading, streaming is more desired by leagues. I just wish we could get to a point. I think the problem with streaming is, you got to pay $6 here, $5 here, $10 here. It adds up. It's just there's a lot of different ways to watch games, but also there's too many different ways maybe to watch games. I think it's just hard to keep track for the average person where these games are. Amazon's done a good job getting people trained though on Thursday nights, so maybe they'll be easier to get NBA fans. I don't know what it is. Anytime we talk about does everyone have Amazon Prime? Because anytime it's Amazon, people are like, oh, okay. But when it's Peacock, they're like, oh, my God, the injustice. Weird.
Here's the thing that I'll say. I feel like it's a generational thing. I think younger people, and I'm even an old soul here, even though I'm younger. But I think a lot of younger people now are streaming. I think it's someone like my dad, who's 65 now. When it's if you want to watch this game, you got to do so on Amazon Prime. He's going to be like, how do I do that? That's right. Well, look, I think the disconnect is.
I'll tell you. So I'm 40, and I don't like having to have two different remotes.
I'm with you on that. I don't cut the cord, to be to be clear as well.
No, I'm a cable guy. I'm going to be a cable guy until I'm dead.
So there's no more cable.
But what bothers me is like even with some of these college games that might be on streaming for football, you go to the streamer and then like on Thursday night, I get stuck. If there's anything else on, I get stuck watching the halftime show for football because I don't want to like go back to cable and then watch a different baseball game or something. It's so minor, and for a lot of people, it's like, oh, whatever. I hate it. I don't like that it's all on different. It's like we're trying to do all these different things, but keep it the same. Like bikes are on the road, but cars are on the road, even though they're two greatly different forms of transportation. But we're trying to get all these different TV services, and you're supposed to use them the same way, but they're entirely different.
Do you not like Adam Silver, by the way?
I think that he is emotionally driven. I think that he doesn't like being embarrassed. When the Mavs a couple of years ago, remember they decided to tank on that final weekend to hurt his precious in-season tournament. He had to find them. I think the way that he acted after the All-Star game was just very embarrassing. You scored 200 points. Well, congratulations. Like, I don't know. He makes things a bigger deal than I think they need to be.
Yeah, he picks weird times to like flex his muscles because I've always said this. I think he is spineless, and I think he is an overrated commissioner. You know, when he started his tenure, he had the easiest thing to ever do, and that was to get Donald Sterling out of the league. And I think that has made a lot of people have this positive image of Adam Silver. And ever since then, his regular season product stinks. He has not made a lot of good moves. And now it's like one of these things where, okay, you're taking inside the NBA away from us, where inside the NBA, it feels like at times, is more popular than your regular season product. And I know people say, well, look at the money he just got, the NBA, and that's his objective, to work for the other owners. But it like gets to a point where it's, okay, a lot of people don't agree with things in this world. You could take Democrats and Republicans, for example, and I'm not getting real political on you. They could have both agree when they agree about nothing that, oh, yeah, we all love inside the NBA.
Well, and two, like he's added this in-season tournament and he's added this play-in tournament, and there's just a lot that's being added, and it just seems like they're throwing a bunch of stuff. Like I don't necessarily think more is better. The way to make your regular season product better is to have less games, which they will not do.
Because of money.
So instead, they're coming up with this tournament, and then they're giving more teams a chance to make the playoffs, which we get into it, and it draws a number, and, you know, we watch it, but it ultimately, like, when you parade, hey, look at the play-in tournament and look at the in-season tournament. That Saturday that it was Lakers Pacers, that had a good, like, people watched. But then the regular season numbers go down. But then it doesn't matter because he tripled the TV product because he's got Amazon money coming in, and NBC desperately wants in, and ESPN's like, all right, I guess we'll still keep it. So financially, it's working. You got to remember that these commissioners' jobs, they're not for us. They are to protect the owners and make them more money. And so in that sense, Adam Silver's great. Rob Manfred's even great. Roger Goodell is great. They're all great at what they do because we got to remember what they do is not they don't work for us. They always try to appeal to us, but they don't work for us.
Manfred and Silver are so bad, in my opinion. They actually have made Roger Goodell, who I used to despise, the best commissioner out of the four major sports right now.
Because Roger Goodell does the best job of playing to the fans. Like, again, none of these guys work for the fans. They work for the owner. They are the shield for the owner, and they are to make the owners more money. But Goodell, whether it's media training or whatever, has done the best job of embracing hugs or going on McAfee, whatever he needs to do.
Not only
he's
that,
done it the best.
The best thing he did was during the pandemic when we were all craving for something, and you had Adam Schefter's like, oh, there's carnage in the streets. How can they have this draft? He's like, everyone shut up, stop complaining, we're putting on the draft. And that won me over with Roger Goodell because it entertained me during a time where we didn't have much entertainment. Okay, talking about the NFL, Bart Winkler, before we let you run. Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb is holding out. Trent Williams isn't present for the start of training camp. Brandon Ayuk is holding in. Thoughts about the Cowboys and the 49ers? I'm not concerned about the 49ers, but I think the Cowboys are actually going to miss the playoffs this year.
Maybe. I think they need to figure it out. I don't know if Jerry Jones is trying to let all these guys' contracts expire and just like pivot or something. It's very weird. The longer this goes, they're negotiating against themselves. Ultimately, I think they do pay their guys. I don't know how, but I think they're going to pay their guys. The Niners, I think, are trying to play hardball with Ayuk. I don't think they want to pay him. I think they're already paying Debo. I think that this is a team, and I talked about this with Purdy, this is a team where everybody on the Niners is better because the Niners completely are good. I don't think they think Ayuk is worth $20-some million. So they want to let him play it out. And if he wants to get traded, somebody can come trade for him. I think Trent Williams will get whatever guaranteed money he's looking for. But I think most of these guys do get signed. Ayuk would be the exception for me because it doesn't seem like the Niners are into it.
How about your guy, Jordan Love? I think they have no leverage and a deal's going to get done at latest by next week.
Yeah, I thought this week, we're already on Wednesday, probably by the end of next week.
Friday news dump, maybe?
Maybe a good news dump. He'll be the highest paid quarterback, though, so people are going to have to reconcile with that when that happens.
And what he did at the second half of last season, right? 20 total touchdowns in the final 8 regular season games and 1 interception. I know it's early to pay him, but it's Gutekunst's guy, and there's optimism with the Packers. What's your Packer prediction right now for this season?
I'm still around 11 wins. I don't know if that's homer or if that's at least 10. 10 if I wasn't a homer, 11 because I am a homer.
He is Bart Winkler. You can catch him tonight on the Bart Winkler Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Bart, thank you very much.
See ya.
All righty, my commissioner power rankings real quickly because this is fun with Bart. Number 1, Goodell. Number 2, Gary Bettman. And then it's like, what disease would you rather have? Manfred or Silver? I think it's actually Manfred 3 because of the recency with the pitch clock actually worked out well. And then Adam Silver. Down in the basement. Where are you, Adam Silver? We can't even find you, spineless Silver. Messing with inside the NBA. Taking that away from us after this year. Shame on you, you coward, Adam Silver. Shame on you.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
That's what I'm talking about. Hour number 3 of our radio program. It's the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We're gearing up for the NFL season. Training camps open all around the league. So, as we continue to preview all of our 32 teams in the National Football League, Ian Williams is going to join us 20 minutes from now, the former 49ers defensive lineman, to talk about the San Francisco 49ers, but we're thinking big picture. So Samter has compiled a list of teams here that he wants to get my answer on how do we define success for those teams in this season. However, before we do that, let's hear from the new Patriot head coach, Gerard Mayo, on how he defines a successful 2024 season for the Patriots.
Yeah, a successful season, in my eyes, is really about the foundation. Like, have we put together a good foundation of a combination of young and older players to really start, competing? And honestly, it would be great to get up here and say, like, we're going to win a Super Bowl. But once again, it's about the process. And I tell the guys all the time, it's about process and progress and moving forward.
When you're taking over a team, and I know Mayo's been in the organization for a while as a player and a coach, but when you're taking over a team that really doesn't have much, this is not Gerard Mayo walking in to a Super Bowl contender, a team that's been close in the playoffs, and they get rid of their coach to have the next guy take over and elevate that team to a newer level that they haven't been before. But when you're taking over a team that's in pretty much the bottom, of the league right now. Bottom 3 of the league right now. They were the 3rd pick in the draft. There's a long way to go in building here. And usually when you have a team where you're taking over a new home that doesn't have much, it's a 3-year plan. Year 1 is a wash. Like, to define success for the Patriots this year, it's eventually hand the baton over to Drake May, which will not be for the first few weeks of the season. Don't get him killed. And make me at the end of the season think, okay, he can be the guy. Don't have me be a team right now after seeing 8 games of a quarterback. You're like, oh, they don't got the dude. So that's the year 1 expectation for the Patriots. Then in year 2, it's improve off that. Then in year number 3, it's going to be a playoff team. And then after year number 3, if you don't think Gerard Mayo can one day, not the next year, but one day win you a Super Bowl, then you get rid of him. But that's my 3-step plan for the Patriots right now. And that's how I feel for a lot of teams that a coach takes over where they're taking over a position because the team sucked the year before. Not like, oh, they were good and they could be great. We're talking about teams that are really bad. Like when you think of a coach getting fired, it's because the team is really bad. And that's what the Patriots were last year. They were really bad. All righty, Stu. So let's fire up the music here. Stu's going to give me the teams here and how I define success for these teams entering this season.
The Buffalo Bills.
Whew. Beating the Chiefs when it matters. That's how I'll say it. I think the Bills will win the AFC East this year. I think the Bills are being a playoff team. But if they get Kansas City again, they got to beat them. Because if you don't beat Kansas City, then it's the same old up. You're a good team, but when it mattered up against Mahomes, you've been close. You've been able to beat them in the regular season, but you've not been able to get it done in the postseason.
The Baltimore Ravens.
I think most people would say go win a Super Bowl. I'm going to say just get to a Super Bowl. Because they should be Super Bowl or bust. But I'm at the point with the Ravens right now that I think they've displayed a big struggle in just getting to the Super Bowl. So it's easy to say, oh, you got to go win a Super Bowl. It's a failure of a season. But you have a 2-time MVP quarterback. And last year, him and his offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, both crapped the bed in the AFC Championship game when the Chiefs were begging to get eliminated. And they were doing a lot of things offensively. They were saying, please, 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 don't let us go to another Super Bowl. We don't want to win back-to-back Super Bowl championships. So you add Derrick Henry. I know they lost some pieces on defense, but defense still going to be good. They got to get to a Super Bowl this year. That's the only way I would define it. Bare minimum success for them.
Los Angeles Chargers.
I'm going to say be a wild card team. Harbaugh and Herbert. Coach, quarterback. That's not everything in the NFL, but it's a lot. And they have a good offensive line. We know that Harbaugh doesn't need the most talent to win. But if they could be a playoff team, I think that's successful. Now, if Herbert looks like a rock star and they're 8-9, it's still a good building step. But if you want me to say, hey, the Chargers had success this year, when you have a top 5 coach or a top 10 coach and a quarterback that a lot of people view as a top 10 quarterback as well, usually those teams make the playoffs. So I'm going to say make the playoffs.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Win it all. Anything short of winning it all for the Eagles is a failure of a season. I don't care if they win the NFC East. I don't care if they beat the snot out of the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. This was a team 2 years ago that should have defeated the Kansas City Chiefs in the big game. They should have. When your quarterback outplays Patrick Mahomes in the big game, you should win. They didn't. They had a terrible second half. And then this past year, they started off 10-1, and then they were putrid down the stretch. They have too much talent there. I know the defense is a little bit of a question mark, but they have too much talent there. This is Super Bowl or bust. Anything short of hoisting another Lombardi trophy, their second in their franchise history, is a failure of a season.
The New York Giants.
Success for the Giants? This is going to be a low bar. At the end of the season, I just need to say, hey, that Dayball guy has something. Because I can't say get back to year 1. because year one they made the playoffs and they won a playoff game. If the Giants make the playoffs and win a playoff game this year, like, I will walk in the streets of New York in a diaper. Seriously. There is no way the Giants are making the playoffs and winning a playoff game this year. 0% chance. So, I'm not going to say, oh, they have to get back to year one. But in year one, you saw a coach with the roster that was not good get the most out of that roster. And this year they have a really good defense with guys like Burns and Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau and Bobby Okereke. But that offense, even today, Illuminor, who, right, how spot on was Justin Pugh? Maybe he'll play right tackle. Well, he got moved to right tackle today because Evan Neal's hurt. And then he goes down with an injury. So Pugh, who was basically advocating yesterday on this show for the Giants to bring him back, he may be getting a phone call from Joe Shane. But I don't trust the quarterback. Outside of Malik Neighbors, they don't really have much on offense. They improved the offensive line, but how much better is it actually going to be? If the Giants are like the Giants are 7-10, I think that's fair. I think that's a solid season. So just make me think that the coach is not Joe Judge with how Joe Judge basically got himself fired in year number 2. A very low bar. The Giants are going to be a good defense, but their offense is going to be bad once again.
The Dallas Cowboys.
I think they're missing the playoffs, but at this rate, you've had back-to-back-to-back 12-win seasons. You got to make an NFC Championship game. Because you haven't made one since the 1995 season. You got to make an NFC Championship game, but I think things are really going to come crashing down on the Cowboys this year because there's been a lot of drama, and Jerry Jones didn't make this team better this offseason.
The Green Bay Packers.
I'm going to say get back to the divisional round this year. I know you could maybe reach for the stars there, say Super Bowl, say get to an NFC Championship game, but I think Green Bay needs to just show sustained success because last year you only saw half a year of Jordan Love where he was really great. Now you're hoping he gets that for a full regular season. I'm just going to say sustained success, get back to the divisional round, and anything after that is gravy.
The Chicago Bears.
I think the Bears are making the playoffs. I think they're 9-8. But to say playoffs are bust in year one, I don't think is right. So here's what I'll say with the Bears. Because they've had a lot of quarterbacks where you're like, that dude's not the dude. Caleb Williams just has to bring hope to this organization. The Bears could be 8-9 and miss the playoffs. This quarterback just has to look like he's going to be that rock star. The Bears have a lot of talent. And if you walk away from the end of this season saying, got questions about Caleb Williams, I think they messed it up again, that's a big problem. So Caleb Williams has to look like a rock star this year. You know what? Caleb Williams won Rookie of the Year. That's how I define a successful season for the Chicago Bears.
The Atlanta Falcons.
Playoffs as NFC South champs. They have to win that South. The Bucs are a good team. You know, the Saints are never bad now, but they're not really good. And the Panthers are the Panthers. You know what that means. We'll get to them in just a second. But the Atlanta Falcons, like the Saints last year, everyone said that's the team that's going to win the NFC South. And I'm like, I'm fading the Saints to win the South because they have Derek Carr as their quarterback. Kirk Cousins is good. He's much better than Derek Carr. And the Falcons' defense is improving. I like their secondary. You look at the offense. Bijan Robinson's going to be excellent this year. Arthur Smith didn't use him the right way. Pitts, I think, will improve. You got Drake London. That's a team to me that they'll win the South this year. So they have to win the South. That's how you define the season as a success.
The Carolina Panthers.
Just show me something, Bryce. Like, that organization's a mess right now. I like the hire of promoting Dan Morgan. Canales, considering how unattractive that job is a fine hire. And he works well with quarterbacks, as we've seen in Seattle and as we've seen in Tampa Bay. But when I look at the Carolina Panthers, they made some improvements. Like on the line, you're bringing Deontay Johnson at wideout. Thielen's back. They drafted Xavier Legette. You know, defensively, they're going to be really bad. They lose Burns, so that's a problem. But I look at this Panthers team, Bryce Young has to improve this year, and I know it's tough to get worse, but I need to walk away from this season, this is how you define success, just saying Bryce Young can be that guy. If you see him this year and he's running for his life and he looks terrible again, it's like, oh, he stinks. I don't know how you recover from that. So just show me that you can be the guy. I don't really care about their wins and losses this year.
The San Francisco 49ers.
This is the easiest one, Super Bowl. They've now been to the Super Bowl twice with Kyle Shanahan. They've been up by 10 in the big game, and they haven't got the job done. I don't care that Trent Williams holding out right now. They'll find a way to get that deal done. I don't care that Brandon Ayuk is holding in right now. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Purdy, McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, Kittle, Ayuk. Defensively, we know all the names there, even though they have a new DC. Doesn't matter. It is Super Bowl or bust. This team doesn't win the Super Bowl this year. They start to give you that Buffalo Bills feel with Marv Levy, where it's like, oh, they get to the big game. When they get to the big game, they don't get the job done. Super Bowl or bust. That's easy peasy.
The Arizona Cardinals.
That's a good one. Because I don't think they're a playoff team. And their defense is bad. But offensively, now you have a legitimate weapon for Kyler Murray to get Kyler Murray's career back on path. I think Kyler Murray, to define success this year, has to be a finalist for Comeback Player of the Year. I would say that. And I know he returned last year, but it was a very small sample size. Now, he didn't get to play a full season. So be in that conversation for Comeback Player of the Year. And then Marvin Harrison has to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, or in that conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's all about that connection. Murray to Marvin Harrison Jr., because if Kyler Murray gets the ball going to Marvin Harrison Jr. and you see a connection form that Murray had a little bit with DeAndre Hopkins, then you could say, okay, Kyler Murray's back to being a good quarterback, and then we'll get back into the boat we were a few years ago. Can he then take that next step to being great? But you don't go from people forgetting about you to then just going to great instantly. You got to get to that good spot first, and then the following year would be, okay, can you get back to being great? Alrighty, I think that's it, right, Stu? We have any more? Okay, there we go. There's all the teams and how I define success for those teams entering this season. We will take a timeout on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we return, we will preview the San Francisco 49ers season with a former 49ers defensive lineman. We just talked about the 49ers a little bit, and they are in the news as we get set for the season. Ian Williams will join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Football season is right around the corner.
Holding himself, runs to the left, he's to the 5, Lamar's in, touchdown Ravens! They're going to have a championship game in Baltimore because the hay's in the barn!
Will it be your team's year to hoist the Lombardi?
In the shotgun, Mahomes. He runs and he throws, caught, touchdown! It's caught! Hardman caught the ball! The Chiefs have won! The Chiefs have won! The entire bench empties! Chasing Mahomes in the end zone. Their third Super Bowl in 5 years.
We preview all 32 teams right here on the Zach Gelb Show. The San Francisco 49ers.
Alrighty, we know it's Super Bowl or bust for the San Francisco 49ers. Let's welcome in a former 49ers defensive lineman. And we now go to London, where it's currently 10:20 p.m. in London, because Ian Williams is in London right now. Ian, I am shocked you're actually doing this while you're in London. I always appreciate when you join us, but I was very surprised when you said you were down to do this, even though you're on vacation in London.
Man, it's always fun to get on and talk a little bit of football, especially when it got to do with my Niners.
Well, let me start you off with your team. Ayuk, he is holding in right now. What do you think ultimately happens as he's on the final year of his contract?
I think he stays, and I think he plays. I don't think he gets traded. I don't think anything that has been going on all season on Twitter or on social media talking about this, or he's going to go to Washington or any other team. He's going to be with the 49ers. He's going to be in the red and gold, and eventually he's going to get his deal done. It may not be during the season or during training camp, but eventually he's going to get it done. Either they keep him this year and they do a franchise tag for next year. I know they don't want to do that because now you're going to have to pay him top 5 money compared to other receivers. But I think he's going to be in the red and gold all season long.
So I agree with you, and I've been saying this from the start. I think whether it's this year or next year, they get a deal done. But I think then they look to trade Deebo Samuel after this season. What would you make of that? Do you think if they bring back Ayuk long term, that means Deebo's going to get traded maybe a year from now?
I don't even think Debo would get traded. I mean, I know Ricky Pearsall was a very interesting pick in the first round this year. Now you have three, top-tier receivers, and you paid Jawan Jennings this offseason. So you got four receivers that are very capable to go out there and play and put up numbers. But I think Debo is too valuable for what they want to do, and also putting him in the backfield. And then you have to also factor in the wear and tear on Christian McCaffrey, where now you can take some of those reps at running back and you give those to Debo or the backup running back. So Debo is actually a very important piece for Kyle Shanahan, because not only is he a good wide receiver, but he's an X factor in which he can put him in multiple positions and be able to, still be productive. I think Debo stays with the 49ers. I hope he retires as a 49er, honestly.
Ian Williams here with us, former San Francisco 49ers defensive lineman, previewing the 49ers with us, also now an NFL analyst for CBS in Orlando. Brock Purdy, always talked about, kind of unintentionally polarizing, because all he's done is exceeded expectations. There were no expectations when he got to the league. NFC title game in the second half of year one, and then last year got the team to a Super Bowl. How do you think people should view Brock Purdy right now as a quarterback in this league?
I feel like people should view Brock Purdy as a top 10, top 5 quarterback, obviously with the production of what he's been able to do the past few years. And then you also have to represent with the guys that he has around him. He's been able to get the ball into his playmakers, and he hasn't made a lot of mistakes. He's also been able to play through injuries, and I feel like with that camaraderie that he's been able to build with the offense and also the defense trusting him, and also the rapport that he's built with Kyle Shanahan, more is going to be put on his plate this season. Him rehabbing his elbow throughout pretty much all the last season and finally getting healthy, he's finally going to be able to open up that playbook a little bit more and get the ball down the field, 40, 50, 60 yards down the field. So you're going to see more plays happening, 20, 30 yards past the line of scrimmage this season, because that elbow is going to be a lot healthier. And then you also have to look at that contract situation, though. He's going to be commanding a top 5, top 10 kind of contract. So you're right. Debo could be a trade factor, or other guys. You also have to look at Trent Williams. Maybe his contract is coming off the board because he retires after this season. But Brock's going to command a top 5, top 10 contract. So, where he started as the last pick of the NFL draft, the expectations that he's reaching right now, nobody expected of him. But, he's taking it as far as he can go, and he got an opportunity, and we're seeing what a person can do with an opportunity, especially if they put their right foot forward, and they're a great person on the field and off the field.
Ian Williams here with us. When I look at non-quarterbacks on the offensive side of the ball, I think the best non-quarterbacks on the offensive side of the ball in this league are Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, and probably Justin Jefferson. Out of those three players, Run CMC, Tyreek Hill, and Justin Jefferson, who do you think is the best non-quarterback offensive player in the NFL?
I mean, you have to take CMC. He's a running back. He's a receiver. You can put him at pretty much any position, and then you can also use him as an X factor in multiple schemes, being able to get him the ball out of the backfield, mismatches against linebackers and safeties. You have Justin Jefferson, great athlete, great talent over there in Minnesota, and then you have Tyreek Hill, another great talent down in Miami, but those guys are strictly wide receivers. You have to either throw them the football or you have to set them in jet motion to try to get them the football behind the line of scrimmage. CMC can line up outside and be able to take advantage of a cornerback and still be able to look like a wide receiver. So CMC right now is the most valuable player in the NFL.
And you being a defensive player, what is your evaluation of this defense entering this season, as there's another defensive coordinator now coming in for the Niners?
I just feel like, last year with Wilkes, they tried to make certain things happen. They were still a top-tier defense. Fred Warner came out and he said a couple of days ago for, their introduction meetings coming into training camp that, there's an expectation that the 49ers have built on defense. And, they had a great stance with Wilkes, but there were certain things that with Kyle Shanahan and certain calls and certain aggressiveness that they didn't really want, or, play less aggressive. So they, made a change. And I feel like this season, with the new defensive coordinator, they're going to try to, go back to what they were doing with DeMeco Ryans and, being aggressive, but also not being so aggressive at certain downs. Third down, that Minnesota game in which they lost to Kirk Cousins up there in Minnesota, that was probably the nail in the coffin right there. And then obviously you couldn't fire him mid-season. But now you're looking back at, that's the game. Was he too aggressive? So maybe the defense coordinator, he calms it down, and then he gets Nick Bosa his
think we lost Ian Williams, so we'll try to reconnect with him. Only had like 2 more questions left talking about the 49ers, so if we can't get him back up, that is okay. Since he is being very dedicated to the show today, I was like, dude, you're in London. Don't feel compelled that you need to come on with us. We could do this when you get back from London. He's like, nope, I want to talk football. I want to talk about the San Francisco 49ers, but there's no doubt about it. It's Super Bowl or bust this year. And that's really my biggest question with them is just, can they finish the job? That's the way that I look at it. You know, Shanahan now has been in the big game twice as the coach of the 49ers. They've had 10-point leads and they couldn't get the job done. A few more minutes here with Ian Williams, who's now back with us. You know, going into this year, Ian, we all know Kyle Shanahan's a really good coach. He's a top 5 coach in the league. But there's like this thought, they keep on getting close, but they don't get the job done. Well, why do you believe, if you do, that Kyle Shanahan will eventually win a Super Bowl with the San Francisco 49ers?
I mean, you have all the skill in place to win a Super Bowl. You have the talent on both sides. You have Fred Warner, you have Brock Purdy, you have weapons on offense and defense. They just have to win in the critical junctures of the game. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, you had certain plays during that game that it was one player out of 11 guys on the field. There was one player that had a mental error. And that one player can mess up the whole scheme of that play. And that's what happened a few times during that game. And if you can't have those type of mistakes against Patrick Mahomes, because he's going to make you pay for it every time he gets the ball in his hands. So that's what I'm looking at this season. I'm looking at the mistakes to be minimal, because to be able to get back to the Super Bowl, you have to be healthy and you have to make the least mistakes as possible, especially going to the playoffs. This is going to be another playoff team, especially if everybody's healthy. You're going to get to the Super Bowl. Don't make the mistakes that you made last time. Chris Jones has to be blocked on a very pivotal down to be able to get the ball to Brandon Ayuk. Those little things can't happen. If you're a backup right guard and you have to go in, you have to know the calls. You have to know the slide protections. So these things don't happen. The 49ers win the Super Bowl if those small mental errors don't happen. So they can get back. Kyle Shanahan will win a Super Bowl with the 49ers. I can guarantee you that.
We know that they're chasing the Chiefs. Everyone's chasing the Chiefs. But just staying inside the NFC, last thing I'll ask you here, Ian Williams, who's the team in the NFC, right? Everyone's hunting the 49ers going into this year, but who's the team in the NFC that gives you the most cause for concern that, okay, they can prevent the 49ers from getting to the Super Bowl this year?
The Detroit Lions. I feel like last year, that NFC championship game, the Detroit Lions came to San Francisco with a mission and a plan. And they had built up to this momentum all season long. And when they came out to San Francisco, they were ready. That first half, they took it. If the game was only 2 quarters, they win and they go to the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions, if they can replicate what they did last year and be able to run the ball again, and then also Jared Goff does what he does and is able to distribute the ball to Amon St. Broad and those playmakers over there, and then Aiden Hutchinson can continue to take a lead at defensive end and be a playmaker on the defense side, they're going to be another team in the NFC that, they're going to make it back to the NFC Championship. You're going to see the 49ers and the Detroit Lions again battling it out to go to the Super Bowl.
Are you out on Philly this year, going into this year with the Eagles with how it ended last year?
I'm not out on Philly. You got Saquon. You got a great defense. Jalen Hurts, I feel like, he has a great regular season. He's able to put the team on his back, use his legs. I'm not impressed with his arm. His arm is what lacks during the postseason. Yes, you have 2 great receivers out there, but those guys can't get the ball if you don't have a quarterback who can get them the ball down the field, and you're going to stack the box. We're going to load the box, and we're going to play one-on-one, especially with the 49ers. They have great cornerbacks, so they can man you up and load the box and be able to slow down Saquon Barkley, and we're going to put it all on Jalen Hurts. That's what you're going to see a lot this season. What they saw on film last year during the postseason, Jalen Hurts could not get the ball to his playmakers. His arm wasn't 100%. That's going to be a big test to see if he's able to get back to what he was able to do a few years ago and be able to get the ball to his receivers. Because without that, they're going to be a team that goes to the playoffs and they lose in the first or second round.
He's Ian Williams, former NFL defensive lineman with the 49ers, now an NFL analyst for CBS Orlando, kind enough to join us from London right here on the Zach Gelb Show. Ian, appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, all good. No worries about it. A little phone drop, no problem. When you're calling in from London while you're on vacation, that is dedication. So you don't need to apologize for anything. All right, Marco, I know you were holding your breath all throughout the show. I have an update on the whole Bob Gelb, my father's desk fan that got stolen in the office.
Okay.
And we were thinking...
I waited to do this on the air because I could have asked you in the hallway and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to hear it on the air.
So yesterday we both admitted that when my dad wrote a note in all caps on his desk to whoever was maybe the culprit who stole his fan, that it wasn't a great look.
No, not a good look.
I didn't think, even though he didn't do anything wrong in terms of he wasn't the person who stole the fan, it's how you respond to it. It's okay. You report the issue. I don't think you need to go all caps lock.
Very passive aggressive.
Letter, and it didn't end there.
Oh.
There's more.
Okay.
Do you want the tweet first, or do you want the private part first?
Let's get to public, so let's go to the tweet. Okay. Let's see that first.
The fan has found itself back in its rightful place. My dad tweeted out. Wait, you said the private part you wanted first?
No, the tweet first. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, no, the tweet first. Yeah.
He tweeted out a photo of him and the fan. So the fan is back.
Okay. All right.
Now, how did the fan get back? So the person that was called into question, Scott Stanford, was the one, the morning update anchor on 10-10 Wins.
Okay.
He was the one. He was hot in the studio, walked into the sales pit, took the fan, never returned the fan.
Okay.
So he did come clean, said he took the fan, but still never returned the fan up until today. Now, I don't think he was going to return the fan if there was not another passive-aggressive move made by my father. We get these things that I don't really know what they're for, but people get them in our company called Odyssey coins, where I can, for example, if I see Stu do something well, I could donate him Odyssey coins. Stu, you actually have used some of these Odyssey coins because I guess Stu's a good employee, so people give him these coins all the time?
I have a backpack, an Odyssey backpack.
Oh, so there's like a store that you could go to with these coins?
Use the points on, and it takes a while.
Oh, is that where it goes?
Yeah.
I've seen these coins. I didn't realize they went anywhere.
They go towards things you could buy that are Odyssey branded, yes.
I was going to say, I think I got 60 sitting there. I don't know what they mean. Every time I open up my email, I see the coins. I don't know what they mean.
But you have to be given them. You can't, you have a certain amount of coins that you can distribute to people, but you can't, use those yourself. You have to be given them by someone to yourself. It's very interesting.
So I was told my father donated Odyssey coins to Scott Stanford and said, here are some coins so you could get yourself a new fan. Please return mine. And then I think that's when Scott Stanford realized this Bob Gelb guy is like a cockroach. And if you don't exterminate him and give him what he wants, he's never going to go away. So first was the letter, second was the Odyssey coins, and then he got his fan back.
Before I get into my reaction to that, I need to know the timeline on this. Because, again, Scott Stanford works the morning. So he's here at 3:30 in the morning, roughly, and is out of here roughly around 11, if not earlier.
Okay.
So I need to know, was the fan brought back today?
It was brought back today.
Okay. So when was the Odyssey coins given to Stanford? Was it before he walked in the building today, or was it while he was here and on his shift?
That I don't know.
Because this was just yesterday. So Scott could have been found out about it and brought the fan back over today regardless of the coins.
So this is when I knew about it, was yesterday.
Okay.
It was known that Scott was the guy that stole the fan on Monday. It was on Monday. Reaction Tuesday. So didn't return it Monday.
Okay.
Didn't return it Tuesday. Then got the coins according to a source here.
Well, the coins
he
is
got
also
the coins, then returned the fan, then returned the fan.
Okay, and just for clarity purposes, you can see
from one
this.
source, not sources, just one source.
No, but you can see who gets coins. Everyone in the entire company can see who gets everybody's coins.
Yeah, they're on the front page of our website.
This is as soon as you and for anybody that doesn't, you have to log into your email. You see the front page of the Odyssey. You have no choice. You have to go there to be able to get to your email. You can, I guess, sidestep it. But
is this Odyssey at work?
Yeah.
Okay.
So once you get onto that home page, on the bottom left, you can see everyone that's given someone coins. It's there. And that's not just in our building. That's not on our floor. That's the entire company.
Jeez.
Odyssey nationwide can see that. So this
so
is not
some guy's in
small.
like Des Moines right now,
Yes.
and it's like, who's this Bob Gelb guy about his desk fan?
Everyone could see this.
That's amazing.
So there could be the Scott Stanford looking at it and going, geez, you're going to blast me through the entire company. I'll come give you your stupid fan. But I will say this.
Oh, wow, you really do see everyone.
You think I'm now making things up?
There is a girl named Melissa.
I told you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 donations just today of these coins.
I'm telling you. You could see everything that's going on. Again, I don't know what it does, but you could see everything that's going on. I will say, my reaction to this, the letter, I did not like. I thought that was
You like the Odyssey coins?
I love the Odyssey coins. I love that.
I actually thought...
I think that's a great move by your dad. That is tremendous because the entire company can see it, but it's not done where it's almost done tongue-in-cheek enough where it's not where you come across like a total ass. I love that move by your dad.
Now, I don't know if he knows that this is public. Not only did he reward it to Scott Stanford, he rewarded it to Ben Meverach, who I think is the program director.
Yes, he is.
Meverach at 1010.
Yes, he is.
Greg
He's the man in charge.
Giannotti and Matt Weller, the office manager.
And they all got the same message?
Let's see. The message to Matt Weller, there's different points that he's awarded. He awarded 11 Odyssey coins to Matt Weller for taking the bull by the horns and sending out stern communique.
I can't. I don't know what's in front of you. I can't help you.
Oh, say that one more time. How am I pronouncing this? Communique about the internal issues for the 10th floor. This brilliantly articulated missive will lead to my fan one day being returned. # creativity.
That one I'm not thrilled with. Go ahead.
15 coins to Greg Giannotti for telling the tri-state area over 50K watts that my fan was commandeered. It was this pressure that led to the thief outing himself. # courage.
That's not bad.
The first one sucked. The second one was good.
The first one, I don't like the tone. This one I like. That's not bad.
3 Odyssey coins. And this is the first time I'm reading it.
Just
to
3,
Ben, how do you say his last name?
Meverach.
For channeling his inner whistleblowing and taking the hit for his morning anchor and telling me it was SS who commandeered it. # community.
Wow, so he blasted the program director for outing his own anchor?
How much time did he spend on doing this morning?
Oh, man.
That's a little rough because now everybody knows that the boss was the one that gave up his own employee.
So
that's a good point.
That's rough.
So my dad does some things where I'll be like, do you know this is public? And he'll be like, no. I don't know if he knows this is public.
Again, this is not just public for this floor, these stations, this cluster. We're talking the entire Odyssey.
I'm not going to lie. If I'm this guy, Scott Stanford, I'm like, this guy, Gelb, is a bleep hole. And they're going to now think it's me. You know, because a lot of people confuse, they just hear Gelb in the company. They're like, oh, you know.
Oh, I could see it. Yeah. Okay. So
Now,
what's
here's
the Scott
the one.
Stanford one, because this one I'm very curious on.
Has awarded 1 Odyssey reward to Scott Stanford.
Just one coin. Ooh.
For channeling his inner Francesa and commandeering my desk van. Then only fessing up, oh my God, this is bad. After the Matt Weller email, what's really an issue is the lame excuse of my desk looked like it was not in use. Maybe one day it will be returned. Hello, with 1, 2, 3, 4 question marks. # courage. That's bad.
That's you see, that's not good.
This is bad.
The first one and the last one are just brutal. The fact that he put the program director on blast, not a good look. The email for the 1 coins for Giannotti, not bad. That one I'll give him, but everything else he went over the top. This is a bad look for your dad. I'm not going to lie.
Just to make clear, the views of Bob Gelb do not reflect the views of Odyssey employee Zach Gelb here on the Infinity Sports Network. I am now disowning. Usually they would disown your son. I am entering the transfer portal when it comes to who I want to be my father.
Wow.
This is bad.
Now, here's the question. Now that he got the fan back, is this over now? Are we finally finished?
I would assume so.
Is there going to be other passive-aggressive ways that he's going to go after Scott Stanford? Is your father beyond petty that he's going to continue this barrage?
He didn't stop.
Uh-huh.
He sent one to the salesperson, Chris Mercadante. 5 Odyssey rewards. Stay calm and cool after having a very valuable item removed from his desk. A team player. #creativity. Alrighty.
That was a rough day for your dad, huh?
I can't wait to call him and tell him, hey, this is all public. I'm telling you, there's no way he knows.
Is that fan like on the mantle at home at times? Does it come home for like the holidays?
I'm not going to lie. I didn't even know we had a fan.
He seems very attached to it. I mean, or is this just straight principle? Is your dad just a man that can't let something go out of principle? Is that a normal?
Yeah, he will hold a grudge.
Okay, all right.
If you hurt his feelings, he will never let it go.
Okay, so he's kind of like that Derek Jeter. You cross him once, that's it. You're dead to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He could be stubborn.
Good for me to know.
No doubt about that. Alrighty.
Good to know.
Now, would it be fun if I go steal a fan? I should go take the fan now. Go put it in a locker.
Find Scott Stanford's locker. Or Ben Memorak's. Put it in there. Make this like a game of Clue.
I should bring it back to their studio and write, I'm sorry for my father. Here's the fan. All right, this is the latest Infinity Sports Network update with El Capitan Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Zach 49ers got a holdout at camp. Tackle Trent Williams joins Brandon Ayuk as players that want more money. Williams not at camp. Ayuk, he's there. He's just not practicing. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel dancing around whether Tua is going to practice while they continue to discuss financials.
It's very fluid. We're taking it day by day today. I expect it to be kind of like OTAs, and we'll move on from there.
Meanwhile, Lions, tons of expectations after reaching the NFC Championship game for the first time since '91, but Dan Campbell not looking backwards as they continue to try to reach that first Super Bowl in franchise history.
It's all about the work. We don't live off reputation, we live off of work, and that's what's gotten us where we're at. It's been a long, hard road to get to where we're at right now, and there's a price to be paid, and so we got to go pay it again.
Baseball, you got the Rockies now a 20-3 lead on the Red Sox. They're in the top of the 8th. 4 homers already for Colorado. Astros are all over the A's 8-1. They're in the 8th inning as well. Mariners a 1-0 advantage on the Angels bottom 7. Few finals. Twins walked it off on the Phillies 5-4 courtesy of a Max Kepler RBI single. Brewers up in the Cubs 3-2. Reds pound the Braves 9-4. The Pirates blank the Cardinals 5-0. I'm Marco Belletti.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're back
It's time
again.
to answer Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Greg in Harrisburg says, Zach, who are a few coaches that need to make the college football playoff this year with them expanding from 4 to 12 teams? You can submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. We'll do more of this next week because I am out tomorrow, Friday, and Monday. I'll be back next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I will be in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. But when we get into coaches that need to make the college football playoff, like obviously, like, hey, Ryan Day needs to make the college football playoff, but it's expected he's going to be there. There are some guys that are like, could get it, be in the playoff, could be out of the playoff. But when you go from 4 to 12, you miss a 14 playoff, and let's say you're Brian Kelly at LSU or you're Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. I don't think people are calling for your job. But if you miss a 12-team playoff this year, it's going to be a tough look. James Franklin's the first guy I thought of, and then Lane Kiffin's the second. And both those teams should make the college football playoff. Then another guy I thought of was Kalen DeBoer. Not that people are going to be calling for it. Well, who knows with Alabama fans, but I don't think you go into the season with Alabama saying, oh, it's championship or bust like you do with most years. I think they are the 5th best team in football entering this season, in college football this season. But he has to bare minimum make the playoffs, because if he don't, then a lot of people are going to look at that hire sideways, even though I thought it was a tremendous hire. And then the last two, it's Brian Kelly and Marcus Freeman. Like Brian Kelly in year 3 at schools that he goes to, he takes big steps. And you look at someone like Brian Kelly, I know that you don't have Daniels back, you don't have Neighbors back, and Thomas, but that's a team. You still got one of the better defensive players in the country, and you only lose 3 games in the SEC. You should be able to make the college football playoff. And then Marcus Freeman, I am fascinated about Riley Leonard is going to be this year. I really am, with him transferring over from Duke to Notre Dame. And I'll tell you another one, Dabo. I know the luster's already worn off on Dabo Swinney, and he was, incredible what he's done in Clemson, but they miss a 12-team playoff. Whew, it's not a good look as well, even though I think Florida State will win it. I did see that James Franklin, who just shows he doesn't get it, he says, we're one of the few programs in the country who could win 10 to 11 games. People aren't happy. So we embrace that. But do you change that? Because, Franklin has to make the playoffs, but what? We're going to be all happy if he does? No, you still got to go find a way to move it forward, but you weren't ever making it in a 4-team format where it's easier to win a championship, and now 12, it does get tougher. But you don't make the playoff this year, then it's like, okay, you're viewed as a good, not a great coach, but then can you even view him as a good coach if you miss the playoff in a 12-team format with a team that a lot of people believe is the 2nd or 3rd best team in the Big Ten this year? All righty, fun show today. Big thanks to Stu. Big thanks to Moist Mike. Big thanks to Michigan Wolverines defensive back, defensive MVP of the national championship game, Will Johnson, for joining us, Bart Winkler for joining us, Ian Williams, and each and every one of you. I'll talk to you Tuesday. I'm off. Until then, at 3 p.m. Eastern,